Alright, can you hear me now? Spectacular, there we are. Was rewiring a few things because apparently I love to do this stuff to myself right before I decide to broadcast while trying new things. Good evening and thank you guys for joining tonight. It's a bit of a change from our usual scheduling as instead of a game, I have a different way for you guys to potentially watch me suffer, which is we're building a keyboard. Now, normally I would find this a fun, mostly entertaining distraction to kind of pull in. I will warn you, anyone who wants to maybe dabble in the DIY keyboard end of things, you don't save money doing it, by any means, but you are left with something much better tailored to your own personal preferences. And about a year ago, give or take, I want to say it was around like, early last year, I'm pretty sure the orders were cut off by April. Keycult, sorry, by then they'd established, I think 1 year or 2 prior, Keycult had established what we call partnership with Novelkeys, who's picked up a lot of the slack in the keyboard community for other companies that have kind of dropped the ball in group buys. They've also consistently made their own products, which have been well received and often accessible for a lot of folks getting into the hobby as well. But they, it's with some of Keycult's, I suppose, manufacturing issues getting and maybe some QC as well, reached an agreement with Novelkeys to where to make a lot of their boards more available, they would effectively let Novelkeys for their own manufacturing processes create or manufacture Keycult's own designs, including the one that kind of got me interested in custom keyboard building in the first place, the Keycult 160, which tonight we're going to attempt to make a Hall effect version of using a Geonworks Venom 60 HE PCB. And so it's going to be a little bit of a different take on the keyboard there. Essentially because instead of using your standard soldered or hot swapped MX style switches, we're going to be running Hall effect switches instead, and it'll have all the same general benefits as something like a Wooting 60 keyboard. Yeah, it's going to be just a second. There seems to be some type of commotion outside, so I'm going to put myself on mute to make sure nothing is emergency-wise. More on that in a minute. Yeah, we're going to go look into that real quick, because I need to make sure the neighborhood's getting a little crazy right now, which is normally not the case. Back in a few. Alright, sorry about that, folks. One, it looks like chat's popping off, and I was not here to see it. No, Blue. Zim has not eaten any of the cables. This is why we cable manage everything as much as possible to keep him from doing that. But we had a little bit of a situation outside, so me and a few of the neighbors just stayed to wait things out, made sure non-emergency line was called. So I do apologize for disappearing right as we were getting started. I think we're fine. Yeah, no heroics necessary. I do need to get a bit caught up on chat here. Yeah, it's, Sula, I apologize for the lack of action there. Normally, I don't disappear for that long. I'd rather not go into details, just for sake of other folks' privacy. It was not to do with our house specifically, but a few of us were out there, just because it was a general disturbance neighborhood. There are families around here. None of us need to see that kind of stuff popping off there. Dude, I wished. Like, at least the raccoons are fucking cute. Pardon my French. Like, that would have been an improvement. Yeah, so more eventful than I would have expected, and it was going on right outside the window. So there's also, like, I was eyeballing OBS, like, can they hear this? Because, it was, like, right below my window and just going off. Yeah, but no, thank you guys, Meryl, thanks for pinging the group and letting know what was going on, because he actually shot me a text off the side and was like, he's like, are you good? Is everything okay? It's like, got a little bit of a domestic disturbance. We're just waiting with the neighbors, making sure everyone's fine. I think we're good. It's, but yeah, that is about as much detail as I'd like to go into there, or rather, the lack of detail, just because, again, other people's privacy, and it's something we do try to respect here. On that uplifting note, where were we? Keyboards, because when not looking for a game to have you guys watch me suffer, which actually this really shouldn't be that bad. The most intensive part I'm really to be covering for keyboard building is going to be just tuning the stabilizers, really just lubing the stabilizers, which is about the most impactful mod you can make. You can hand lube the individual keyboard switches, which I think is a good experience for everyone to get under your belt if you're going to get into the hobby at least once. Do I do this consistently? Absolutely not. If anyone's wondering, how long does it take to... So, the keyboards I tend to work with, just out of personal preference, are 60%, which implies about 60% of the size of a full-size number pad, function row at all. I like that they save a lot of desk space, so the keyboard you see me holding here is a 60%. The PCB off to the side is what we'll be building with tonight. So, the first time I built a board in, like, 2021, I hand-lubed all the switches. They were, for those of you unfamiliar with keyboard switch names, you're in for a few treats here. Built a Tofu 60 with glorious panda switches. There's a sentence. And hand-lubed all the switches, just for a keyboard this exact same size. I watched an entire 20-some-odd episode season of an anime. Over the course of the day it took me to do that. All damn day. So, and also, like, factory lubing has gotten a lot more consistent, so, especially the ones we will be using tonight, which would be, Wishu Studio, WS Flux HE switches, which are usually very overpriced at like $2 a switch. I would wait till they're on sale. I got them at $1 a switch when they were half off. Would not buy them full price personally. That is a lot. I get why, because they basically designed a whole new stem and housing shape that I'm excited to use, but that is really expensive even by an enthusiast hobby standard. That's bordering PC RAM prices in the current market level of dumb. But if you get them on sale, I'm actually really excited to try these out. But I've tested everything. This is, we covered earlier, not the PCB that normally goes into the chassis we're building with tonight. I actually did not order a Keycult 160 PCB when I placed the order for the rest of this, because I figured one way or another we're going to find a way to build a Hall Effect one so I can use it for games as well. Or games to my own standard of Hall Effect tomfoolery. And if I was wondering why the camera view here, just so you can kind of see what I'm doing as we go. This is the first time I've tried a multi-webcam stream, so the second webcam off to my side here, this one. I actually got off of a nice guy on Facebook Marketplace, and Meryl got to witness that. We went from a work function to between, like, the work thing and a happy hour. I disappeared for a good 30 minutes because someone on Marketplace was selling this webcam. It's like an Elgato Facecam Mark II. Like, that's in the neighborhood. I can go pick this thing up now. So went, grabbed that, came back, and then rejoined the happy hour. So it's sitting on a tripod to my side here, as I don't do makery streams that often. Don't know that I'm really going to be going into, like, a bigger camera rig for this. It's not something I'm consistently doing. If it comes up more often, then we may look into it, but this will be a bit of a rare one-off. And some history with it, as I start to disassemble the stabilizers here. That's going to be the first real step we go into. Is, like a lot of folks, I got into building keyboards during the pandemic as just, you know, you need something to pass the time here, and during said pandemic, I lived, for the most part, in a hotel room for about 3 to 5 weeks on and a week off. There's not really, because I don't do this super often, I don't have a super clean system of these, so I'm literally using some of the plastic trays that came with some of the different keyboard parts we're going to be using to actually separate the different parts of the housing and stems. But yeah, among other things, I got my first, like, actual self-built gaming PC up and running in said hotel room. It's not the craziest thing there. Some dude rebuilt a motorcycle and sold it in the time he was living in one of these long-term stay places. I also built my first custom mechanical keyboard there. So just things you do to pass the time, and I like to tinker with pretty much any sort of peripheral I use, so anything from cable management, which I was toying with this afternoon, actually at the desk here on the underside. Be a whole another bit of content later once I figure out how in the hell to film and share it with you, or you guys see the aftermath in Discord on our setups and tech section. Remember, I was looking to, like, first PC and all that, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna get, like, Razer makes a 60% now. Cool, I'm interested in trying one of those, and for a while I used their, like, small keypad in the left hand, which was a little bit of an easier adjustment, you know, switching to mouse and keyboard instead of, you know, dropping controller cold turkey for first-person games. And, our buddy Evo, the bastard, said, oh, but if you looked into custom builds and starts describing all these ideas he had there, you know, copper plate, aluminum, you know, chassis, so on. So I started looking into it, and like many other folk, discovered Mr. Teja Types, and around that time, the very well-known, actually, Keycult 160 build he did for Tfue was a custom commission. I did not spend that kind of money. Like, this was a good chunk of change. And I aggregated the parts over the span of like a year. But I know, like, that Tfue commission was about $3,500. We did not spend that. I don't have that kind of cartel money. It was not cheap, I can assure you that much, but I don't have $3,500 to throw at a keyboard, admittedly. Anyhow, but seeing that build, sort of the level of care and detail, and also how it just sounded different from anything else I've seen from a peripheral so far. It's a big one to get into with the custom keyboard scene, is sound profiles of boards, switches, the whole nine, different methods of dampening you use. That's what really got me interested in the hobby, and like, hey, one day would love to have one of those. And finally, the aforementioned Novelkeys and Keycult collaboration, where Novelkeys is now allowed to manufacture their designs. They did a run of the 160 last year. It was finally delivered tail end of 2025. Yeah, it's here. We also managed to find a Hall Effect PCB that used the same style of daughter board that the original Keycult 160 PCB works off of, so it's a smaller PCB that mounts the bottom of the keyboard chassis and attaches with a JST cable to the main board itself. Because it is a Hall Effect board and requires standoffs, you'll actually see here, I'm going to hold up to the camera. You notice these little standoffs that kind of raise up from the board here. These will actually be attaching to the plate itself, which is to hold the switches in place. Most standard MX style mechanicals don't need this, but because it's a Hall effect board and it uses the position of magnets at the bottom of each switch to actually determine, whether or not it wants to actuate it, is you can actually determine your actuation points anywhere in the in this case it'll be about 3.5 millimeters of key press travel. It needs consistent distance across the board. It doesn't need a lot of flexibility going in, and in order to keep that consistency, there are all these different mounting points out of the PCB to ensure the plate and the PCB are always kept a consistent distance from each other. But before we get into all that, and that should be the easy part, just popping switches in and actually assembling it. The first thing, though, when I mentioned this being the most impactful mod, is so these stabilizers. If you look at like the keyboard in front of me here, some longer switches like the space bar, the shift keys, and enter are the 4 that have stabilizers on 60% like this one. It's really one traditional mechanical style switch under there, but for the longer ones, such as it's like right in the middle of the space bar right here, you're wondering, hey, why does the keycap, the actual part on top, not wobble back and forth, or side to side rather? It's because you have these stabilizer mechanisms underneath there that have stems, just little cruciform stems here, just like the get you guys to get a good look at that one. I'm on auto zoom, do your thing. But to get you there, this is actually what attaches to the base of the keycap. So it attaches at 2 additional points and a metal wire, which we will also be lubricating after we start getting the housings rolling. Helps those 3 pieces to move up and down together, as at least the 2 stabilizer ends, but they'll move up and down as they're also attached to the same keycap. And that's how these things keep from shuffling around. We'll say, well, there are plenty of switches that don't even require lubing, and the ones we're using tonight we've covered are factory lubed, so I don't have to do that. I don't have the time, or quite frankly the energy right now, to do like an 8-hour stream of me hand lubing switches. That is as my Destiny clan leader would put it, that is for the birds, with a few expletives thrown on top. But stabilizers, nowhere near as abusive to do. Much easier, but it's also the most impactful mod, as you may notice in a lot of like gaming keyboards, and you hit the space bar or the enter or the shift keys, there can be a bit of rattle that's probably coming from the wires jangling a bit inside the stabilizers. The goal of lubricating these is to reduce any friction between the housings, a little black part here that the stem will insert into, and also as we go and add a more generous amount of lube around the smaller little tabs and around the corner bends of the wires themselves, reduce any space to rattle there. And that is the largest improvement you can make to the general typing sound and experience, and even typing feel of a mechanical keyboard. So the switches are already lubed. We're going to handle the stabilizers, make sure we're happy with where they sit, which is usually pretty straightforward. I'm by no means an expert. I feel like I do this maybe every few years, so I'm also more than a little rusty at this one. I was definitely reviewing a few guides. Oh, Meryl, you sweet talker, you. And dirty talker, too. Look at that. Yeah, so essentially, we're starting off with lube and the stabilizers, and I've definitely not been chatting because I'm nervous and haven't done this in at least a year or two. There's a surprising amount of innuendo that might go around with this one, all the memes there, but what we're going to do to start off is just take a little bit of, and if anyone's curious, what we're using for lubricant now is also used for a lot of mechanical key switches. It's Krytox 205 grade 0. I got this one from Prevail Keycult. I've also, another stateside vendor I've gone with before has been Divinity. I've gotten a lot of lubricants and parts. Oh yes. All the jokes. And memes later. I'm sure I'll be tossing a few of those in Discord later on. But we're going to do, and my favorite guide would also be from Teo Types, is inside. See if I can move the camera for you guys a little bit. I'll explain what I'm doing here. So inside the actual housing, we're just going to be adding a little bit on the inside of each of these side walls, and then take the remainder and put it on the one back wall. There's an opening on the other one. Just gonna spread it evenly across and just lubricate the insides of the housings before adding the stems back in. And then we'll move on to the actual stabilizer wires. Again, this is not intended as a full educational guide. There are much better guides with much better camera work on the internet. But as we've already covered, you guys like when I struggle with things. So I'm here for your entertainment. And because Marathon launches tomorrow and I want sexy new keyboard ahead of that one. Let's be clear where my motivation is. Anyhow. And you don't necessarily want to put too much in there, hence you're going to see a few like paper towels, you know, out here as well. I'm trying not to show all over the camera, just a light coating. And a good rule of thumb with this is, you know, it's easy to add more lubricant. It's much tougher to take it away, so it's best to play it safe with this and just go for a lighter coating. I'd much rather err on the side of less lubricant than more. And you also want to try to get them somewhat consistent, so we are going to pop this one in. You want to, when reassembling these, if you look at the actual stem here, there's one side that has 2 holes, the other side has 1. So on the housing here, the side that has the opening, you want the 2-hole side of the stem to slide in there. Basically assembling this little housing here. And make sure that moves smoothly without any resistance, is not feeling sticky. I'm walking into every joke under the sun tonight, I'm sure. And then we're going to set this one to the side for now. Now, in theory, you could go and start looping stabilizer once you've got your first with it. I prefer to go on most of my tasks when I'm finagling with things. More of an assembly line where I do one task consistently, get that done, and then I move on to the next process so I don't have to keep swapping steps. I'm also tired as all hell. Maggie and I are both getting over some bugs from the week, and I am powering through thanks to one of our channel sponsors, Dubby, which is probably backwards on that camera, and I'm not... Yeah, I don't want to risk tipping this over and spilling onto anything on this desk. That is the stuff of nightmares. That's why there's a cup holder on top of my desk, because I don't trust myself not to spill things. We've all done it. That's also why I got her a cup holder for her desk as well, because cat. And we actually built Maggie's current keyboard that is on her desk even today. Got her as that was a birthday gift, as I recall. And we wound up building her an Odin V3 from KBD fans, which is, you may have observed in my aesthetic in the background here, I veer towards neutrals and very controlled spurts of color here and there. She likes color. All the colors, so whereas my keyboards tend to be black, gray, things alike, hers is a purple aluminum build. Put lights, battery. I'm probably not going to hold these to the side camera too much, just because it's a little tougher for me to see that way. I'm glad you like it still. And that one I tried to save her the grunt work, so instead of, well, I did have her put all the switches in, which we'll definitely be getting to tonight with this one. I did just kind of say, sorry, me and a few of our friends talked this one through as well. Like, we gave her kind of the fun experience of it, so made her, like, do the general chassis assembly and the, we call popping the switches in, which, if you guys decide to get into it, everyone, I had to talk through this one as well, everyone bends a few pins, putting the switches in. We've all done it, we'll all continue to do it. It's completely fine. It feels fine to me. Alright. I'm trying to take too long on this one. Partly because we are getting a bit of a late start to the build. Apologize again for that. Spot there. The excess, and then we just try to make sure that the lubricant is distributed evenly across those surfaces. I know this is, you're like, oh man, like all the tech, it must be exciting in this room. Like, this is what a lot of my days look like, really. Not necessarily like this serene, and I will say if you are going to like I'm working on different projects around the office here, like I've done some recabling for a lot of things recently. We're looking into some alternatives to Discord, given the, I'm glad they pushed or at least delayed the, stupid, age verification practices they were looking into. Still looking at alternatives, and we've got a few potentially lined up, but for self-hosting, had to like, make like room in the server rack for it. It's been, it's been a time, is all I'm gonna say there. But it's prepping for a lot of these things here. It's, just a lot of extra busy work kind of added to, so a lot of it is just like, alright, time to run the cables again. Whereas a lot of my friends will point out, is like, hey man, you could probably play more games if you weren't, like, recabling your, you know, PC and all the related bits for, like, the 15th time. It's like, and they're not wrong. But there's also a sort of peacefulness to it as well, so you can, a little much on that wall there. So, like, put on a show. Like I said, anime, running a series. Like, I was working on some stuff in the office yesterday, and I've been ahead of, since they announced the continuing movie for it coming up. Was rewatching Peaky Blinders. I am back in season 3 now, which, in my personal opinion for the original series, I feel like 3 is where it really peaked. Could have got a little less excited 4 than 5, while I didn't enjoy it watching during the pandemic to a degree. I felt like it lost the momentum for me by that point, but it was also kind of a pandemic watch, where it was, like a lot of other shows, I kind of, you know, guys, I lived in a hotel room, I had a lot of spare time. Especially when the gyms weren't fully open, you're just trying to make up your own workouts as you go, with whatever equipment you have on hand. That feels smooth. Again, all the jokes and double entendre for the night. Look, I'm shaking a little. One, it's slightly chilly outside, and two, just kind of coming down off of that whole bit, and 3, is also definitely the most expensive keyboard I've ever built, and I don't want to screw it up. So no pressure there. Make sure it's all evenly distributed. No clumps or significant spots. Just looks like a nice little sheen over the plastic, which is a little tougher to tell. I've used a lot of transparent stabilizer over the years. Like, one of my favorites tends to be, just because I've used it a few times now, the Duroc V2s, and I believe they have V3s. So what we're using tonight are Gateron V2 stabilizers, particularly, that's right, you tuned in, you're stuck here now. With the, one little nuances with some of the different keyboard switches and stabilizers, more so the switches, is travel distance on the key press. So, your typical mechanical switch, namely the MX style ones. Yep. I can definitely do that, and appreciate the tip. This is also the first time I'm doing a stream like this with multiple cameras and angles, so any feedback, let loose, guys, feel free. I don't know this is going to be something we do regularly, because, like keyboard building, for example, it ain't cheap. There can be some good budget projects, but it's not something I do consistently, because I don't have a significant need to, you know, be revisiting this all the time. But where was I gonna go with that? So the switches we're using, instead of the standard 4mm travel, have a travel distance or full key press from top to bottom of about 3.5mm. Yeah, not in this instance just yet. One day, maybe one magical day, we're not quite there. Is that I am not quitting my day job anytime soon, though I very much feel I live the little comic or meme where I was like, why do you want this job? To fund my hobbies. Yeah. They're honestly kind of just spare brushes I had from last time I did this, but to kind of show you guys the assembly, this is the stem kind of poking through the bottom there. We don't lube the stem. But you kind of see it rising up. I just want to make sure this motion is smooth. Just the tip. All the jokes there. You do generally want to go for very, very small, like small brushes. I've seen something like 0 or 00 thing. I'm not a brush expert. I am. No, because it gets the lube from the housing. The surrounding is already lubed. I'm not walking into that trap today. Don't you put that evil on me. Also good to see you, man. How's the Resident Evil playthrough going? That's how we do it. Alright, the 2 dots has me concerned. Like, is it like emotional damage kind of finished it, or it was a slog to get through finished it? Bigger one, I will say. I'm sure I should show you guys the inside of the housing here when it's done. And I'm a touch rusty at this. I would not take this as a gospel or real educational guide, but the idea of what I'm kind of looking at. Ooh. Are you going to be streaming the playthrough in Japanese? For those you don't know, our buddy Uncreated Beast is fluent in multiple languages. I know Japanese, but he is conversationally fluent. Alright. Guys, a little look there. I need to do a good look at the inside of the housing. It is being fickle with the zoom. Yeah. That's fair. Like, while he would be fine with the game in purely Japanese, the rest of us would need those subtitles. And I'd personally still watch it, but I want to hear about the potential Japanese playthrough of Resident Evil. I remember watching years back. It was one of my favorite playthroughs of Beast. I was watching way back. Was this 2018 maybe? And I was playing Alien Isolation, which is just pure terror. I'm not even the one playing. I'm just sitting there like, oh hell no. You're literally hiding under a table or in a locker from the xenomorph from Aliens. Like, absolutely fucking not. No thank you. I feel like I've definitely over-lubed stabilizers at least once. Yes, I know the jokes are coming for that one. So I'm trying not to let myself do that. Very careful not to, because I feel like they get a little... Well, there's not a way I can really get through this without me walking into every potential line of the sun there, but they get sticky, and it feels worse than if I just left them unlubed in the first place. Alright, that should be the last of our housings done, though. After this one. And sorry for any less than spectacular camera work. This is a bit of a new process for me. I figure, what the hell? Alrighty, and last housing and stem combination there. Make sure that's... feels solid to me. Alrighty, next up, we're going to start with the stabilizer wires. And we will not be using every... Notice we're not even using every stabilizer in the package here because it's a full kit. I did get a second kit as a spare. I didn't finish this point earlier because I got distracted. Can't imagine why. So I'm using this particular stabilizer kit because while the typical key press travel is about 4mm, the switches we're using in tonight's case are 3.5. So they are what we call long pull. Long pull stem switches. Effectively, they have 0.5 mm less of travel, and given that most stabilizers will also have, actually, I think they got a bit of a sticker on this one, so I'm going to pull the spare one out of the box here that these came with as well, because I don't want to have sticker residue on the actual stabilizer wire here. But to finish the explanation before I trail off again, because I definitely will lose that point and not come back to it. Using these particular stabilizers is the version of the Gateron V2s. They're screw-ins, they go into the PCB, which you'll see in a little bit. And they match the travel of the switches themselves in terms of a stem position, so you don't have to worry about them over or under traveling. They will stay in line with the switch and keep that experience consistent. That's what we're aiming for, hence this specific variant. It's the one Gateron version. For long pole stems, these were, from what I'd read, well regarded. There aren't as many long pole options. A lot of people are like, hey, screw it, just use the 4mm. If it wobbles a bit, so what? But we're going for, to quote Merrill from when I actually built this keyboard, and I was experimenting with some different dampening methods, the Air Jordan of keyboards here. We want to get this right, or as close as possible. So if you give me 1 second to reach over the side, I don't think you can see, you might see some boxes of the additional stuff we're going to be getting into as we go. We've got a bag of other stabilizer wires. Right there. And that, I think we just have, they might not even have that size. It might just be the 7s and the additional spare ones. Because some of these are, nope, that is the correct size, we're good. Because some builds, like those that are HHKB layouts, have a longer spacebar. So you have to be cognizant of what size you're going with each time. It depends on the keyboard you are building. Toss that to the side. Clean, it's straight. Not that I'm by no means an expert or authority on this. We are going to set these a little further over here, though. And I love having a small desk because it keeps things decluttered most of the time, but when I have something like this to work on, I'll admit it's probably less than ideal. So what we're going to next is how to best convey this to you. So on the wire here, on the ends, we're basically going to put a generous coat where you can barely see the metal underneath the lube, which is a mostly white substance, which would be... I realize I'm walking into it. Bear with me, folks. So this is our Crytox 205 grade 0, same stuff we use the housing. We're going to be a bit more generous this time around. And we're going to kind of cover the end wire here and then go around the corner just a bit because these are going to clip into those housings, and we're trying to eliminate any sort of rattling from the stem. That is our goal here. So this one you can be a bit more generous with. Don't want to overdo it. Some people actually would dip it in dielectric grease, was another alternative option. I've always gone with just use the same lubricant you use for the housings. Do not use dielectric grease for the housings. That's bad. But Crytek's 205 in my experience, has been kind of the standard I keep seeing across the community, especially through like the mechanical keyboard subreddit. So what we're going to do to start off here is we take a more generous, dare I say, a dollop of 205 grade 0. And we are going to just try to generously coat this end here. And our goal is we want to kind of barely see the wire under it. Also a tiny... Again, I am by no means graceful, but even in okay, so long as you don't overdo it. I say less is more. And the thing we go for lubing switches as well. If you guys had to go that route, less is going to be more. And we're also going to go a little over the corner here, where it would kind of clip in. But even slightly less lubricant is better than no lube, or... Oh, thank you for that. I'm trying to get to where I can see it as well. And keep where you guys can also. This is a bit of a new workflow for me. But who doesn't love more pressure, right? And here's where I wrestle myself, trying like, but is it distributed well enough? Is that corner still going to be exposed? I keep moving lubricant back over it and accidentally brushing it away. But appreciate the call there, because that is the kind of stuff I need. I'm looking at this, not so much looking at the camera or the screens here as much. Keep an eye on the prize here. I'm trying to keep where I'm not knocking the tripod, so I have to a little more off to the side here. But remember guys, we don't believe in mistakes, just happy accidents. Alright, and after we've got this, I'll try to show you what this roughly looks like right now. Maybe not a perfect job, but coated enough to where you can kind of barely see the bare metal under the actual whited lubricant there. Except that damn corner, that's... I keep doing it myself, I keep accidentally shuffling it off of the spots I want it to be on. There we go, that's better. Feel much happier with that. Then we're going to put it into, I believe it's the lower hole of the housing here. And interesting, so if you look at the side of the stabilizer, you may notice these little kind of see a bit of a hook structure. It's a little small and kind of tough to see, but there's basically a structure that will grab onto the wire itself. The corner will sit right in the middle. We're trying to insert it into the lower hole. Actually, the upper hole, I'm mistaken there. No, it's the lower. Get to cooperate. There we go. Make sure I don't have it on my hands here. Also, I think I'll probably not tell you guys this. I've never done this personally, and I have zero desire to find out. Do not ever consume, on purpose or accident, Crytek's 205 grade 0A lubricant like that. Bad things will likely happen. Don't do that to yourselves, but demonstrate to you what this looks like. So now, we move this wire. This will move up and down with the switch. And because we have generously lubricated around that area, we've significantly reduced the rattle. So kind of holding this up for you to a degree. It may not be the prettiest sight ever, but for a keyboard enthusiast, or even someone who's moderately experienced like myself, this is way the hell better than stock. Alright, and now that we've got this one done, it's time to do the other side, which we'll say the spacebar wire is significantly easier to do. What'll get more difficult is the smaller ones for the shift keys and enter, because there's much less surface area to grab onto. A generous dollop of 205 grade 0 here. I'm gonna try to do a better job of keeping this in camera frame for you guys, but still workable for me. More. Every time I look at chat. And it's this, and one of my other major hobbies, especially back in college, is playing pool. And just, I swear, whoever designed the whole game just knew exactly what they were doing in terms of innuendo. Exactly what they were doing. Make sure it's even. In that corner too. Around the elbow of it. Don't want to leave that out. Alright. I think we're doing good. Round two. Another thing, it might seem obvious. Make sure you've got the stabilizers oriented the same way, folks. It's, I'm sure we've all done it. I was literally watching a guide just to review this earlier, today. Just like, alright, it's been a while. Let's make sure, we're double checking our homework here. Come on, there we are. Inside the stem, now just pop it into the housing. Play nice. There we go. Alright. Just trying to get the excess 205 grid 0 off my hands whenever I can. And now, whenever these move together. Right? I know, and I keep doing it myself too. So, for this one, what we're going to do, just so we're not leaving off the side here, is I can at least show you what this is going to look like. So I mentioned this is a screw-in or a PCB mount stabilizer. So I got the 205 grade 0 off my hands. This is the spacebar one. We're putting it into the appropriate slots. There is a, flip this around. So there are, on here, there is one portion that hooks in on the plastic housing, and then the one that has a bit of a metal threaded insult. I just appreciate the company all the same, Blue. And hot chocolate sounds lovely. I just don't know that I trust myself to have that while doing this. But we've finished lubing and assembling our first stabilizer for the spacebar. So this is how it's going to look. And now we're going to screw it into the underside and see how it's moving. So these screws I put off to the side here. And grab my screwdriver. Put in a magnetic parts tray, so I'm not losing these pieces because it's the last thing we need tonight. Screw it from the underside of the PCB. So, as such, simple precision screwdriver, which not every key, just the big ones, the much larger than average. In this case, spacebar, the left and right shift, and the enter key are the ones that need stabilizers. Let me find my next screw. Because I'm looking at you. I know what you're thinking, buddy. I know you too well. Alrighty. And again, am I a graceful master keyboard builder? Absolutely not. But it is still like a calming, mostly, fun hobby, and I'll level with you, it's satisfying as all hell when you're using something that, you built and tuned specifically the way you want it. Just one thing, I might actually have to pull this off. I'm gonna check to make sure it's actually in place here, but... Alright, this is what I do want to stabilize for you guys, though. And yes, that sounds spectacular. Please. Just throw that through the camera or microphone, that would be wonderful. But if you observe here now, when I move this stem up and down, you're going to see how its counterpart moves up and down with it. They are in sync, and it will work with the switch that will be going in this spot, which, or the key that in particular will, that's our space key. Really? Really, brother? Now, I may need to actually pull that stabilizer back off, which thankfully we're just at the one. Getting a little ahead of that to a different step is going to be a minor degree of dampening at the plate level, which is the part, it's a little bit that's going to be what's actually, no, it's basically a bridge. So yes, I will be actually pulling that stabilizer back off because I need to before I start adding these things on. I have some dampening layers that I want to add to the PCB proper. And I'm glad I did this before I got all the stabilizers on. This is just, I'm fairly content with how that's rolling so far. But I want to make sure the dampening layer in the middle is on there before I start getting too ahead of myself here. That's one thing in it. I have done this several times to myself. Is just like, right, you get excited about the next step, you jump the gun, then you have to go back and disassemble part of it to go back. So I'm going to try to minimize that. Otherwise, we'll be here all night long. But in this instance, we need to layer this. Where did it go? It is completely transparent, so it's a little easy to miss. Our stab there. Not leaving anything in terms of excess lubricant on board. Where are these holes going to line up? There we go. So it's basically a little plastic sheet that's going over the PCB itself, and then we will start to put the components, and starting with putting the okay, blue in what game? I'm hoping it's reversible. I'm terrified. What game is this that you just burned 3 years worth of gold? Also, like, it would take 3 years to reconstitute said gold? Still, like, on principle, it's just like all, and like you can't, like, I assume it's like accidentally purchasing a rug, you can't like resell the rug and recomp some of that. Oh, that sounds really good. No. If they're by function, why there no self function? And a little bit, touching on here, with any sort of electronics that goes to PC building as well, you don't want to, like, wrench it down, say finger tight at most here, so it might look like I'm really just, I'm letting my fingers kind of stop once they meet a certain point of resistance there. There are, it's something I've thought about doing before, is like, we're gonna put the rest of our dampening materials off to the side here for now. Trust me, it's gonna get more cluttered as we go. It is. So the PCB or printed circuit board is essentially the same as a motherboard in that aspect. This is the brain of the keyboard. Ah, yes. So we've got our dampening layer. You can kind of see here, it's this plastic sheet that slides over everything right now. Have our first stabilizer on here, which so far I'm content with. Thing we can do to test this though, and I'm normally bad about this, but figure, hey, might as well take this as a teaching moment, is we're going to grab the first of our switches. It's just one way to kind of test these before you go to full assembly. So these are our Wushu Studio WS Flux HE switches. So they have an octagonal stem. Let me see if this camera kind of picks it up better. Might be smaller for you guys. But the idea with the octagonal stem there is it's supposed to significantly reduce stem wobble. So if you guys have like a mechanical or gaming keyboard in front of you, it's probably both. If you like go grab a key and try to like wiggle the key a little bit, you may notice there's a little bit of wobble to it, even on some higher, more expensive boards. It's supposed to reduce stem wobble, and as it is technically its own unique sort of box stem, as there's no kind of like the cruciform stems you see on these stabilizers. You notice the stems there have the cruciform bit, but then the rest, there's not much around it. So when it disappears in here, in theory, there's less surface contacting once it goes inside the housing, which is what typical switches would do. This is supposed to keep that travel consistent in terms of a lack of wobble when it goes up and down, as the whole octagon stem shape goes up and down with it. But it still has that cruciform in the middle, which is what will attach the keycap. It sounds something like... on its own. What we're going to do here, and it's also a good time to point out, on keyboard switches, depending on the keyboard, Hall effects are going to go either way, because there's no, on the bottom of it, there's no electrical connection. It's all in a magnet at the bottom of the stem, or the piece that moves up and down. How was I going to put this? Typically though, so you have the LED, and there's a diffuser on this side right here for any LED or shine through or RGB lighting from the keyboard itself. Some boards come with what we call north facing, where the LED is, you know, at the top of the board. So we're kind of facing this direction if we're using this keyboard as an example. The issue with north facing is it can cause, given the shape of the switch, some issues with certain keycap profiles, namely cherry, which is about the most common one. So given it does not really matter for performance north or south in terms of this board, and I'm not a big RGB person, go figure. And RGB, for the uninitiated, is red, green, blue, or kind of like the different lights. So for example, the lights behind me, if I were to make, technically it's a form of RGB lighting in a sense, or the server rack, you can't really see its front lighting, but that's lighting I have controlled, or like by the bamboo plant behind me. But south facing is generally preferable, because it causes less interference with keycaps. So with any type of different keycap profiles, which is a good time, because I need our spacebar in particular to test this, but to reach off the side for it. The keycaps we're going to be using tonight, I've already covered, we're building a Hall Effect Keycult 160 using the Novelkeys run of a Keycult 160 chassis, which I'm really excited to get to. And the switches and stabilizers we're running, and the PCB, which is the Hall Effect Geonworks Venom 60 HE. The keycaps, though, I'm excited for. My favorite brand of being one called Enjoy PBT, and I got these as a Christmas gift from my girlfriend and her mother, who is also in stream, which is why I'm trying to keep my own jokes at a level. I believe my mother is also here. So, yeah. But I did want to say thank you both for the keycaps. We'll be using the Enjoy PBT, or ePBT for short, traveling set. Which is a gray PBT kit with the material. Go ahead and retrieve these as we go here. So the two most common, they have all kinds of materials. You could use ceramic and whatnot. And there was one that's coming popular. I've seen some metal ones. There's the white keycap on this keyboard is a white aluminum artisan. They got specific from a different keycap set, but it matched this build. I think I actually have the photos turned off for this chat, guys, solely because, and so if you send that to me, I'm happy to share that in Discord for the group later, for just, we do have a food tab. Bonus points if you guess which community member requested that one. Yeah, it's mostly a precaution in case other folks start posting stuff here that'll get us all in trouble, which I don't want to see. Start off. So this is the keycap set here. This is the Enjoy PBT traveling set. We will not be using all of these. This is a full kit, and this is 60% keyboard we'll be wielding. We also have a set of hiragana alphas. So basically the main keys, the sort of letter cluster you typically live in when typing, but have sub-symbols, same as the board I'm using here. That's my existing booting build, as basically characters underneath all of the main keys in the hiragana script, which is written Japanese, which Beast could tell you far more than I can. I am mostly illiterate on that one. I like it aesthetically, and that was also a bit of a callback to the aforementioned Tifu Keycult 160 build, as they used a GMK Striker keycap set. And this... Just have to back my chair up for a second so I have room to not knock things around the table. Yep, they're gray, which is... You might notice I wear gray t-shirts all the time, and my walls are gray. Solid chance that is likely my favorite color, go figure. And material-wise, and it's kind of like an instrument, every little thing you do has an effect on the sound and how it behaves. Lack of color. That's me. But the two most common materials for keycaps are ABS, which is a lot more common, I would say, and PBT. You know, ABS is a lot more color accurate, easier to print on, but Meryl's not wrong. That's pretty spot on there. The thing I don't like with ABS is it shows oils from your hands far more easily. Oh, here's the fun part, Blue. Like anything else in this hobby or a lot of other enthusiast hobbies, it's personal preference. It depends. We're not going there. No, unless we're referencing the Gilbert Gottfried reading of 50 Shades, which absolutely go look that one up. That is just a joy. I prefer PBT as it has more of, it's a little harder to get the finish down, or like get the specific colors you might want, but it is has more of a matte texture. Does not show oils nearly as easily. And we're just putting the spacebar on here so we can kind of test, like, hey, does this feel... Yeah, I have a preference for the matte. There's a nice little bit of texture to it. So, how well you guys can hear this, and please do report. I'm going to shut up for a second so we can test it. I'm kind of curious. So you mentioned you used one particular Logitech model. That's the thing. It depends. Obviously, I'm trying to make sure the stabilizers aren't sticking at all, so I don't have to like try to wipe away or redo any of the lubricant. But I believe we are in the clear. All right, with that done, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back off. And I am really taking it tonight. Yeah, the switch is very much in there. It's a little bit of a tight fit in the stem, but don't. Realized as soon as I said it. Damn it. But yeah, the space bar is gonna be the biggest one. I would say is the one I feel like is the toughest to get just right. Yeah, my one, if you were in the market, especially for gaming, my general thoughts for mechanicals would be I veer towards the linears. If you're concerned about, like, Beast, for example, has a big preference for quiet keyboards because if you guys have not checked out our friend Uncreated Beast channel, has more of a focus on horror, and he does quality work on all of his recording and production. Like, that's my mentor figure on this stuff. He taught me the bits I do know. And it's one of these reasons I have zero issues plugging his content, because you're not gonna have to suffer the bad quality. It is stellar every time, and just great dude. It's a preference one. Some people like tactile or clicky switches. My preference is linear, and with Hall effects, well, they do make some Hall effect tactiles now. The big benefit gaming-wise is you can do things like determine your own actuation point. So WASD, I have it like 0.7 millimeter, travel down as the actuation in a game, whereas your average actuation on a typical mechanical is like 1 to 1.5 millimeter. And also things like rapid trigger, where the moment you let up off the switch, let's take our little example switch here. Alright, in most cases, you have to, on a traditional mechanical, where you can see the angle well, when you press the switch down, you have to hit the right point. Alright, Gwen Stefani. You have to make sure that the stem has gone past the actuation point either way before, because they're new key press. So things like I think Counter-Strike, maybe the term. A lot of the CSGO players are much better to this. Yeah, and the full travel, like I said, in this case, it's 3.5 millimeters is full press all the way down. That's 3.5 millimeters right there. I set the actuation point to be like a hair trigger comparatively. That and another one that Hall effect boards tend to feature is called rapid trigger, which is where no matter where you are in the press, because I'm not the cleanest typist or gamer by any means. I'm alright, I've got my moments, but I tend to bottom out a good bit. Is the moment it detects that you've lifted up, even if you're not past the original actuation point, it considers the key unactuated. And then if you press down again, even if you're past the points, let's say, we're down a bit, I just keep spamming it, I've never come all the way back up. Considers each of those to be a new key press. And the benefit of this is that you can do things like, side-to-side strafing with your AD keys like a crackhead. It's great. I've won gunfights all but standing out in the open games like Overwatch because I am zipping back and forth at borderline physics breaking speeds, and they cannot land consistent shots on me. Or it makes precision a lot easier to pull off as well, because you can be a lot more precise with your inputs without having to know, like, exactly the actuation point, like really fine finger, your A and D keys respectively. That's one aspect. There are some folks who learn how to do this just naturally, they just know where those actuation points are nailed and learn to live on them. I'm not quite that good. Some CSGO pros, absolutely, but those folks would likely destroy me with like a Walmart keyboard. That's a whole nother play there. So really, I'm building the sport out so I continue to be mid to medium high in shooters. Yeah. Alright. But that was all with one stabilizer. We get these next three done. Like, after we get the stabs done, and yes, the stab is a common short hand or abbreviation in, for the actual stabilizers. Once these are done, the rest of the build actually picks up in speed. Yeah. Like, my game sense is usually pretty damn good. Like, I pick up on footsteps, sound cues, all that. I am the asshole who keeps the music in the game turned off, and I am just listening for footsteps most of the time. But there are some absolute monsters, like, out there who will absolutely, hand me my ass every day of the week and twice on Sundays. I've got my moments, though. Yeah, back on. Nope, it is not glue. This is the same lubricant we used earlier to coat the inside of the stabilizer housings, is what we're using to coat the stems blue. So, see here we're trying to reduce the rattle of these stabilizers. So if you press like most typical mechanical keyboards, especially out of the gaming ones, you will hear some rattle on the bigger keys, like the space bar is usually one of the biggest offenders, if not the biggest. So the goal at this step is to generously coat. Generally, no, you might have to after years and years of time. But there are boards like the one in front of me here I've had in its current config for, I want to say, around 2 years. No, it's not a paste. This is an outright lubricant, so this is meant to be intentionally slick and slippery. Yes, damn. In this case, we're using it to kind of fill in a lot of the space, so so it's not rattling around inside the stabilizer housing. And the stem there. Not for some time. I mean, years upon years. You might feel the need to relube, like, after a long while, but it'd be, like, a long damn time. I don't think I've had to ever really relube a keyboard so far. Anything I've had, like, at a 5-year stretch, even. Put it into the housing. There we go. Just gotta get it clipped in. So this is half of the assembly so far. Pretty much, it's designed to stay literally like grease. Actually, for this step on the on the wires here, some people actually do use dielectric grease as well. Something that's not going to harm the PCB. I've heard of some people doing like a WD-40 spray on the switches to avoid having to hand lube them. But I'm also told if you screw that up, it can cause problems. So I am not an advocate by any means for the WD-40 method. Yep, the bicycle, absolutely. WD-40 that thing all day. The, making sure it's, settling in there. Alrighty, then on the other side of the stem, which at least having it in the housing here gives me something to grab onto, because you notice this wire is much smaller than the spacebar one. Oh yes. That's the thing is, like, I enjoy it for the satisfaction, like, you know, customizing a peripheral to be exactly what I want it to be. And even if you're not going the full custom route, something as simple as, like, just swapping keycaps out as most, like, readily available gaming keyboards and standard mechanicals are going to be compatible with, you know, any MX-style stems. Unless it's like a membrane one. Any like real mechanical will be compatible with most sets of keycaps. If it's like a membrane one, the cheaper ones, sort of the rubber domes underneath, or some low profiles, we have to get more specific with keycaps. But even those, I believe they make different caps for now. It's just satisfying making a little thing you work with your own. And that may be the most Bob Ross thing I've said all night. Amen to that. I'm good with a lot of things, but man, not membrane keyboard. It's really tough to go back also when you've gotten used to, like, the custom build stuff. It's like, using, like our typical office keyboards. It's not good. Actually, why the original keyboard I built in the pandemic, my Tofu 60 build, tends to live in, at my desk at the office. Because, pardon my French, kids, but fuck those cheap office keyboards. These things are awful. On that uplifting note, let's get this next stabilizer assembled and make sure we're still on track here. That might be the best statement there. People who like water breads like membrane. I think that tracks. I was like, if that's the one you've gotten used to too, because you know, it's like when they started packaging keyboards with like PCs and such as a bundle, like they started getting cheaper and cheaper. So you're all like, whatever one you pick up out of like Walmart or something will work. It'll get the job done. Like it will do the functional thing, but and if it's something you're working with every day, then why not make it something you enjoy using? Is kind of the idea. And I cannot claim full credit for that expression even, because I remember watching again, you know, was influenced by watching some of Taya Types' content during the pandemic, and even more recently, though he's veered towards helping to design and, you know, produce things, less on, like, building and critiquing, per se. It's like, why spend hundreds, sometimes thousands for folks, on, you know, what seem to be mundane until you can get for, like, you know, 10, 20 bucks at your local Walmart or equivalent, you know, supermarket. And it's like, hey, if I have to use this thing to interface with, not just for work, but for, like my hobbies and other, you know, pursuits as well, make it something you enjoy using. That's a fair argument. There is the cost. On the one hand, like, hey, you shouldn't have to replace these anywhere near as often as, like, one of the rinky-dink ones you get out of the store. Like, these are also built to last. But also, if you get sucked into a hobbyist rabbit hole, then you wind up building several of these, and then, yeah, work that math as you will. Yeah, not too tight. We're just going to where, like, gently till I feel like, Yep. But yours is at least a gaming one, not like one of those, the Walmart, like, membrane ones. There is still a distinction you made there, Meryl. And Blue, I also get that, because, like, I don't want to do the math on some of my own hobbies. Like, my parents are very supportive of the different hobbies. It does help that, like, my income definitely covers my hobbies by and large. Alright, I think we're pretty happy with that. Gonna grab our same test switch, make sure the LED is south facing, and I'm gonna need another keycap. As I said, I know this is the slow, boring part now, but once we get through stabilizers, the rest of the build picks up in speed significantly. But it is the most important modification you can make to your board. So it is one I do want to make sure we get right. And that is actually the enter key. That is our right shift key. And again, for anyone who might have missed this earlier, these keycaps were actually a gift from my girlfriend and her mother for not this past Christmas, the one before. So I've been hanging on to these for a minute, waiting for the right build, the right occasion. And this is absolutely it. Ahahaha. Yeah, there's actually, speaking of, like, the sounds recorded, because, you know, lubing, it's not that it performs any better. It's not like it's gonna make you a magical MLG gamer. I am definitely not it. But do you use the camera? My thing is, like, have you gotten time and use out of the thing? If so, then yes. Like, if one case, like, one where I'm gonna open myself up to some roasting here. I'll roast myself while I'm at it. What do you call the, like, I have a lavalier mic that I've been meaning to use for short form content to do with, like, some of the tech I work with around the office here. You know how many times I've used that for content so far? Basically none. It's on my agenda to be better about making said short form content, but that is one I have not been making good use of. Alright, so there's another stabilizer shut down, and like I said, we've got two more. Bear with me. No, because Blue, and also, excellent time to plug my good buddy Blue's content as well. Uses, not the typical, like, animated characters you feel, but more of, like, a Blue, would it be accurate to say, like, almost like a VTuber-esque, model on yours? And Blue's, streams they're friendly, engaging, and they're also very relaxed. So, like, I keep forgetting the name of it. It was, like, but what you described, like, the ultimate chill game. So if you want stuff that has a little more, content-wise, that's a bit more lighthearted, PNG Tuber. Lighthearted, chill, but also, like, very open, and it's also, like, Blue's chat is popping as well. There seem to be a lot of nice folks there also. Absolutely go check out our buddy Bluest Blue. Is that it? And easy thing for me too is my fellow content creators here in the chat are spectacular at what they do, and it never feels like, oh, I gotta go plug a buddy. It's like, no, I legit, like, go watch their stuff. They are spectacular. And make it very easy to recommend them because they just do excellent work. and are just fun folks to hang with. Oh, that's awesome. You know, I never asked you about the story behind the character there. Well, if you bought it like more than a decade ago, Meryl, that'd happen. I mean, look at the tech prices now. Like so our friend Critical Meryl's working on, and he bought the big one this week, guys. He bought RAM. Everyone pour a shot at home for our good buddy here, because we know what that market looks like. Yeah. RAM prices are not in a happy place right now. Like, I've looked at what my RAM kit cost. Actually, because I recommend for his build. Yeah, I also get my annual reminder I'm that much closer to death tomorrow. Actually, in a few hours, I'm getting older. Oh, amen. Yeah, I got my RAM, like, I want to say spring of last year, and like, I'm running a 2x48, so a 96 gig kit from G-Skill, and I think I paid like $212 to $220. I don't think I can find that same kit anymore. Thank you, Blue. Yep, that is about to be my birthday. Yeah, at the time, 220 USD for... It's my birthday in a few hours. Yep. Getting older. Technically, we all are every second, every day, but... Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I don't advertise it too much. I kid you guys not, I almost forgot it was coming up. So we have too much stuff flying through the air right now. It's like, oh yeah, what do I have the calendar? Oh, fuck me. It's next week. I almost forgot this week. I was at work, I'm like, oh. No worries, I appreciate it. I'm getting a step ahead of myself here. Lube the other stem before we toss it in there. Just making sure it's worked in and it's really settling itself. But the idea is, again, no rattle. That's what we want. We don't want this metal stem rattling in here. That's why we do it. And again, this is the fine part of keyboard building. Yes. You're always welcome to chaos it. No. I am always happy when my friends add their own top spin to stuff. Except maybe our friend Orpheus, when I think he has this clip saved, like at the start of a Destiny 2 like PvP match. You can shoulder charge it, you won't deal damage with a shoulder charge, but you can physically knock them. So he projects me into a wall at the start of a match and literally flings me hard enough that I died before ever seeing the enemy team. Like, thanks, man. That's a different one. No, you chaos up as much as you want to, man. Especially with this, like I said, I acknowledge this is not the most exciting part of the idea is we do the grunt work, but we get the fun, super tuned toy to play with afterwards. And just, as far as acoustics go too, because it is, in many ways, it's treated like, you know, assembling and tuning a musical instrument. Oh yeah, that's actually like, you can't see it on camera, but like in this direction, like right down here is the router that I am about to put in the mail for my parents. And I'm going to be basically adopting them under my umbrella with Ubiquiti/Unify stuff. So I can help do, kind of diagnose if they're ever having any sort of internet troubles remotely. And definitely not hold their internet over their heads like an angry, vengeful god. Love you guys. No, Vengeful God is what I call our GM for D&D. I'm happy to help. Thank you guys for letting me help with that. Because also, like, I enjoy getting to do stuff like that for friends and family. It's covered there. Alright, I'm happy with that. Trying again. Trying to get to where it's... You can kind of barely see the metal underneath the layer of lubricant there. Not every key, thankfully, just the large one. So this is the space bar. This is the right shift key. This is going to be the enter key, and the last one will be the left shift. Oh, and I dropped the stem when I picked this one up, so we're gonna put this back in here as neatly as we can, because I also don't want to touch it. And minimize contact. I don't want, like, any excess hand oils from me getting on things that don't need to be. Ick. And now I have to actually touch up the lube where this was dropped a moment ago. Again, we're Bob Ross in it. No mistakes, just happy accidents, folks. Perfect use of the emotes, guys. Nope, not there. Play nice. There we go. Make sure it's actually clipped in. Dry my hands off a touch. And now, and you notice something I can take a moment to point out here as well. So the holes you may see on the PCB there, we're aiming to use, my hand there, this one here is the next step we're adding stabilizers to. Larger holes up top are where the plastic body of the stabilizer kind of hooks in. The smaller ones at the bottom where it actually screws in. Notice it's going to be the opposite orientation for these. So these are where it's screwed in on this one. It'll be the opposite way up here. Probably just to keep the wires from, you know, interfering with each other. It can vary from PCB to PCB. There are different designs you work off of, but we're basically going to hook these in here. I'm going to try to illustrate this as best I can. Pardon my shoddy camera work. In so many ways. There we go. Just trying to slide it in. Shouldn't have to force it. That looks good. And now we need to go grab 2 more of our screws. And they have little red washers on them as well. Grab our, and blue, this is what we were talking about. A precision screwdriver, so off to the side. And this I think I got a few years back for like probably 15 bucks or less. All your bits. It's magnetic. But you don't need much, because Blue is also working on some PC shenanigans. They're replacing, what was it, at least 1 SSD, maybe more? Ah. No! It didn't thread, the stabilizer popped out, and I lost... I see the washer. Now I have to find the... Thank you! Magnetic precision screwdriver. That could have been much worse. You're about to watch me, like, look on the ground like Velma and Scooby-Doo, like, where are my glasses? Like, where's the damn tiny screw for my stabilizer? Alright, let's try this again. Actually, put this on said screwdriver. I think they're tiny little parts. They're easy to lose. Alright, that's definitely threaded in there. And again, just, you notice I'm holding it like this. I'm not going to exert a lot of force here. I'm just once it... Once I hit the resistance off of just that minimal amount of force exerted, we don't want to go and wrench it into the PCB here. And same goes, Blue, for, when putting your air cooler back on, as you mentioned wanting to replace the I left a comment for you in Discord on the CPU cooler as well. You don't want to wrench in there. You want to keep even pressure cross screws both in removing and when replacing the part there. And just like even little pressure there, just don't force it. Lighter is the key. Listen, and so long as the PC's not like overheating, like you're probably more than fine. Depends the cooler. If you share in Discord like which cooler you're running, then happy to add what we can to it. Some of them, like depending on the mounting bracket, like the mounting bracket for the cooler in my PC, once the bracket's up, then there are really just 2 screws to it. So I will admit, as much as I love my cooler, that is the one part that's a little finicky, is there are just 2 screws that actually put the block on the CPU for this AI water cooler. Oh. Yeah, I think it's one of the easier ones install-wise, and similar to mine. I'm running, I ran an EK in my last build, which was a small form factor and a Lian Li Dan A4H2O. Damn. That is toasty. Especially for a 360mm radiator, and the EKs are normally pretty good. That's running really hot. Also, oh, there we go. I thought I lost the stabilizer wire. Wait, you said the 5080 has it correctly. So did you do like an AIO kit for the 5080? Because if so, please share more. I am curious about that, as I'm sticking with just base air cooling right now. Oh, crap. Like on the GPU itself, or just in the build for it? Huh. Okay, when you said for the 5080 or for the 4080, I was like, because I think there were kits where you could add like an AIO to the GPU, and not EK, it was NZXT who actually made it a while back. Yep. That tracks. Alright, last stabilizer, guys. Bear with me if we can get this one done. I know we did not test that last. We're gonna test those both in a round at the end here. But I feel pretty good about where we're at consistency-wise with lubing these parts. After this, like, this is the only real grunt work of it tonight. The rest of it's just assembly and testing, which I've tested to make sure the PCB works. I think if you do build one of these, it's or any custom mechanical in that sense, it's good to check the PCB to make sure everything works and test the connections. Just Google like keyboard checker. It'll take you to some sites that'll actually let you test the connections and make sure that all the key connections are working. On a traditional mechanical, you can get like just some like plug it in like you would a typical keyboard, even just the PCB, and preferably keep it on an anti-static surface. Like I have this one resting on the anti-static bag it came in off to the side here. But you plug it in and you can use typically just what's the word I'm looking for? Come on. Call tweezers, like some simple metal tweezers or something like that to just bridge the connection where the pins would normally go, and test to make sure that connection works. In a Hall Effects case, you're just going to have to put switches into the PCB. Not that I've ever heard of, and from what I gather, most GPUs, especially stock ones, just last for a long damn time. Like, I gave mine a good 5 years, but I also, like my old RX 6800, I had both undervolted and overclocked. I just think I was asking a bit too much of it when I started getting into content consistently, because like, hey, I want to run games at, you know, full blast spec, or, you know, settings even at 1080p while streaming. Which is why I went with the 9950X 3D, because I was initially doing all my encoding off the CPU, which you might be going back to for Marathon. Yeah! For like 90% of the world, that is some overkill. Like, same, like, the 9950 and the 9950 X3D are both some overkill friggin' CPUs. For most scenarios, I think it's good over like the 9800X X3D, because you want to have a little bit of extra CPU headroom outside of just gaming when you're multitasking. Initially that's what I was going to build with, and then watching, it was a Jay's 2 Cents video a while back, wonderful tech content creator. Some of my favorite guides for what to do after you've built the PC in terms of like initial Windows install, valuable programs, settings to make sure Windows spyware isn't getting you bogged down, because fuck Microsoft and their spyware there. Yeah, I said it, Bill. Yeah, Threadrippers are nasty. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some part of me, because I love over-engineering and overkill, I was like, that sounds cool, but I probably cannot ever seem to justify, like, that kind of monetary expenditure. And I don't think even gaming-wise you get a leg up over any of the X3D chips. Like, yeah, it's meant for a different purpose entirely. Like, for gaming, the X3Ds will probably beat it, if I had to guess. I've never touched a Threadripper, I can only go off of, you know, conjecture, but for folks who are using those for things like, you know, production, engineering, that kind of stuff, for real productivity, I imagine they'd smoke most other things. Kind of hard to have one system that does everything at top tier. Like, something specialized is going to eke it out at some point. Trying to better distribute this stuff a little bit. Alright, I think we might... I think we're good. There was a... I don't remember the name of the channel. It's one that some friends in college showed me. It was like a Chinese comedy channel, where they're talking about wanting to buy one. They had like a spoof ad for, they called like the Apple Watch and Tuhao Gold, and Tuhao being a reference to China's sort of like a novel rich culture, like lots of money, very little class to go along with it. So they call it Tuhao Gold, and they say, yeah, even if we don't sell any of these little things in the West, we have a saying here at Apple, it's fuck the West, the money's in the East. And which even if we bomb out in the West, we'll just sell 1 million of these shitty little things over in Asia. So you see one guy showing his buddy this ad. He's like, that's a terrible ad. And his buddy's like, you want one too, right? He's like, no. Like, and they go through, and why I leapt into this is they jokingly have this kit. They was like, dude, like, it tracks this, it'll track hell. Like, yeah, the phone does that already. He's like, and best of all, pardon the expression, he's like, green tea bitches love it. Search that term at your own discretion. I don't want to go too far into that one here, but and the guy just stops, and the way they're advised to pay for it is there's like the newest payment kit called iKidney. The at-home kidney removal kit, so you can just remove it yourself and sell it. So they both... Now, supposedly, I don't want to go into certain toxic realms in terms of explanation, but I think the broad strokes, like Urban Dictionary top level bit, would be someone who plays off as sweet and innocent, but is actually conceited. Insert any stereotype involving the term gold digger. Pumpkin latte people just like pumpkin spice. Is it basic? Is it overpopularized? Sure. But can I really knock you for liking it? No. It's what you enjoy. There's nothing wrong with that. I've enjoyed my share of pumpkin spice flavored things over the years. I love me some pumpkin pie. But that was part of the joke. And this was like 2014, maybe? And emphasize that enough. Do not over-tighten. Make sure the plastic, and that should be all of our stabilizers on. We're going to test these still. I don't know if you can see that. On the screen is my phone sitting on a MagSafe charger added to the side of the stream deck there. I will put this in Discord later, but see, Rudolph has shared some pot pie pictures, so I will share those for the group in that setting. The oh, it looks tasty too. I wasn't hungry already. Actually, we ordered some pho earlier, which is very good. Alright, we need to test these last two stabilizers, make sure we're in the clear before I go into full assembly, but after that, I just need our 2 shift keys. Actually, enter and shift. Then we can start the really fun stuff. Where we start the real assembly of the keyboard. And then we do at least one typing test. And then we break the son of a bitch in with at least one game. Alright. First things first, I need to enter and left shift. Alrighty, so that's our left shift. South-facing LED. Yeah, and we're going with south-facing specifically because it makes it easier for keycap shape compatibility. Yeah, maybe not that one. Try to get to where you guys can see the damn thing on camera and the microphone still. Let me move this down a touch. I think we're good there. Alright, pop this one off because we're going to need to pull these switches off before assembly. Oh, I thought you were taking the piss, man. Is that actually a game? And don't be wrong, I believe that would absolutely be a game. People would certainly make something like that. I'm not searching for it, though. I know in theory top-down might have been a better camera angle for this in the long run, but this is a, this is kind of best I could manage with the tripod for the time being. I tried to decide it's also like, what cable can I get to reach around to it? I think we're good. So we have all of our, I'm going to pull this off, I'm going to show you what the stabilizers look like without any other assembly there. Put our tester switch off to the side and our other keycap back here so I don't lose it. And I'm also going to go ahead and put away the lubricant here. So again, tiny thing of Krytox 205 grade 0 from, we've had this one from Prevail for a while. In theory, Krytox, so long as it's stored in a generally dry, climate-controlled environment, it has an indefinite shelf life, like in general theory. Be fine there. The rest, actually, I'm going to wipe off the inside of this Gateron tray because this was from the stabilizer package itself. I can save these for later. Off to the side, out of sight, not of mind. Wipe this off in case we need this for another piece there. But this is also from one of the packs of switches from the Flux HEs. Also going to go ahead and move the cup and all the remaining pieces for lubrication down out of the way. And now we get to the fun stuff. So first, this is our PCB as it sits, has the sort of semi-dampening little middle layer that actually is made by Geonworks, the same Korean company who... Appreciate that, Meryl. So Geonworks makes a particular PCB. It's a Hall effect one that matches, I would say, at least the Gen 1 Wooting 60HE for performance, actually exceeds that one. The V2 probably matches, if not exceeds it. But these are these are the 4 stabilizers we need. Oh, they make a lot of really cool artisan keycaps as well. So next up on the agenda, this will be going inside the PC chassis itself. There's just some dampening foam. Also, this is a kit that Geonworks makes. The reason I've made my own middles before with my wooting builds, the reason I'm going with the Geonworks specific ones here, and this doesn't quite encompass the whole board, is because of the standoffs that we discussed before that actually hook this keyboard to the plate itself. Geonworks' own dampening kits, this is a, I believe it's a pour-on foam kit in the middle here, actually has the holes pre-made for the standoffs. So I went with just for sake of, many ways. So kind of how it just adds a little bit of a little acoustic control to the board itself. Now, next up, as we're something a little more fun here. So the board we're using, the Keycult 160, or the Novelkeys run of it specifically, uses a sandwich gasket mount where we're going to have the plate, which is what tends to be the piece that they can come in all kinds of materials. This is an FR40 plate. It's actually made by, I'd like to highlight this real quick, and why I had to get this from a different company. This is from some folks called Pipe Keyboards, from our neighbors to the north up in Canada. They are the only vendor I found who were willing to make a custom CNC'd plate that you can send them designs that, hey, this is like the keyboard I'm building, it's the PCB I need to be compatible with, and they will essentially put together a custom plate for it. So this matches this PCB specifically, but it's also meant to match the keyboard we're going to be building, because holding the plate here, these tabs you see on the tops here, kind of protruding, these tabs, we're going to wind up putting, it's not on here, but there are essentially rubber or pour-on pads on the bottom of the keyboard housing and on the top of it that sandwich over these tabs here, and that's what holds this whole assembly inside the chassis. Hey, I do not knock any variety of bacon. The Canadian bacon is tasty too. As is that Canadian maple syrup. I got no beef with the Canadians. No, this is from Canada, the PCB is from Korea, and yes, I got shafted with tariffs at least once or twice on this. The PCB I might have gotten ahead of, I'm trying to remember how, because I've had this sitting in my office closet for a while. The dampening kit, like the little plastic sheet, this foam, and the additional foam over here that's going inside the chassis, I think this kit was like $6 to $8. I paid at least a good $20 to $30 in like shipping and customs and whatnot. It was, in the words of my hometown, good old Fayetteville, North Carolina, that's some old bullshit. But what we're going to do here next is, notice how the standoff holes from the PCB line up with the holes that our good new friends in Canada made in this PCB. So they made this specifically. I sent them the plate files the Keycult had online for the 160, which original 160 parts match the Novelkeys one as well. Mentioned I need it compatible with this PCB, and they actually manufactured this one specifically. So it's one I had to order custom from them for this build, because again, this is not the standard Keycult plate or build, this or PCB. This is, we're making a Hall effect version. We're going extra as all hell. But I'm gonna need the more use of the precision screwdriver, and we need the KBD fans, also a spectacular vendor out of China. Standoff and screw assembly kit, so I can attach this thing properly. Trying to see under my own camera lights here. There are the recessed ones. These are the panel. We're gonna go with the flathead screws. Should fit better here. I'm gonna pull the paper towel to the side because these are actually. I have a parts tray for this. What am I doing? Let's see. Like, a magnetic parts tray is by no means necessary for a build, but it is helpful because these are some very small pieces. That's right, my girlfriend will be traveling to Singapore for work very soon. Not very soon, like in a future date. But we're very excited for her. So I'm gonna miss her the whole time. As will our cat. And while she is gone too, because I want to have her, you know, be able to see both me and Zim, our wonderful cat. be working on repurposing this second webcam. I've already got some wiring up behind me for like the highest shelf weight back there. Oh, I can only imagine. What do you call it? We're gonna try to implement some form of cat cam. Which one should be entertaining for you guys, but more so it'll give her a chance if she's able to catch the stuff over here. To see both myself and Zim on camera for a minute. But yeah, what we're doing right now is essentially just we are screwing in the plate to the PCB, and from there, it'll really pick up speed to start popping the switches into the plate. Now, I did do a test of this before, kind of did an assembly, made sure everything kind of fits in together, and something I noticed was... Oh, it's something I want to cover a bit more in like short form content and maybe some long form in the future for things like YouTube and Instagram respectively. But like cable management wise, I actually do, and you can ask Leannis on this one, I do a lot of attempted pre-work to kind of cat-proof things. One, aside from like, you know, making things safe from him, more importantly, it's making sure things are safe for him. Like, you guys got like the server rack back here that all of our home network, my PC, some console stuff, a lot of audio things live in. Aside from just being one giant metal hotbox, it's also the panels on that, because I actually lined the inside of it with butyl automotive sound deadener sheets as well. Which helps absorb any vibrations and whatnot, and helps kind of reduce the sound to a degree. Those panels are damn heavy, so like when I'm doing work with the rack open here, I keep the door closed. I keep it closed a lot of the time, because there are also a lot of fragile things in here, but more so like I don't want them being harmed by anything in the room. That is my chief concern. That mic down just a bit. Alright, just kind of doing it again. You notice I'm not exerting a lot of force, I'm not wrenching it down, we're just not necessarily shocked, it's more the weight of the thing. So cable-wise, there are also a bunch of little, you can't really see it on either of the cameras, but I have some like a cable raceways I installed along the baseboards pretty much around the whole room, so I am in many ways surrounded by cables inside this room. But they're kept in a manner that he can't get to. It goes both ways. Aside from keeping things safe from him, more importantly, it's keeping things safe for him. And that will always be the top line. Alright, give you guys a quick check-in here. This is our assembly so far. We have stabilizers. We have the plate. And it is, you know, hold up by the plate here, it is attached. So, we've got our dampening in the middle as well. So next up is the fun part. It's time to throw some switches on here. Go ahead and put my screwdriver off to the side. No! We put the lube away. We're done with the lube. That's a different platform. We're not going there. So, again, covering our switch. I'm going to keep the tester offside. I figure it's been abused enough tonight. We have our Wisher Studio WS Flux HEs. We're going to be keeping the LED diffuser you see right here on the south face, that's facing down or towards you, the user, as to avoid any potential issues with keycap shapes there. So I'm also running the mental tally, like, am I forgetting any steps here? Because after this is where it's going to be a pain in the ass to go backwards. Now, I saw he was supposed to get released early, and I don't know how I feel about that, man. But you know, it's going to pops in, so the plate surf's going to keep these in place. And now this is where it really starts to become a keyboard from here. I just have my bag of switches here. I know, very professional looking. And we really just, I just like to start around the corners, kind of just like get it short up. It's not hooking into the PCB per se, it's the plate that's really keeping these in place and held. I did notice though, because when I did a test of this before, the plate is kind of tight. So pulling some of these out, even with, and I have a really good switch puller, so you have like specific tools you can get for these, and I have the Gateron one, which is the first one I would recommend. It's pricey, but if you're to be doing this more than once, or even just to have for maintenance, it's an easy recommendation to make, because that thing is solid, and I normally stuck at using your typical manual switch pullers. Even with that one, I had a bunch of these switches break, and I had to order some replacement switches to come in. So it was a... That's why I say, like, when I start this part of the process here, I don't intend to disassemble. It's why I'm trying to check myself now. It's like, alright, let's make sure before we get too far in. Because with the plate itself, it is a tight fit. And I don't want to have to break more of these on the way out, because, again, if they're not on sale... For context, I'm going for endgame board here. Very much. Regular price, each of these individual switches is $2. I don't want to do this again. I would say the switches are easier to replace. Like, they're going to be more readily available because I'd have to commission the piece, what do you call it, the plate again. But it's more because the plate, the tolerances where the switches go in, like around here, are really tight. When pulling some of these out before, these did not want to come out, and trying to get them out of where you kind of see the, hold to the corner there. Kind of see the two little white points on the sides. Yep. So these little stems on the bottom, which technically can function without, but I'd rather not kind of half-ass it, broke off when I was pulling them again. Nope, they do make a gadget for this as well. It did not want to play nice coming out. Like, I have a... Oh. And actually, I'm... Hold up. Oh, no, never mind. False alarm. I put it back down here. I thought I'd put some in north-facing LED. I'm like, no! I have to pull it. I'm like, nope. My dumbass put it upside down. We're good. But yeah, from here, it's just... And I'm still keeping it on the anti-static, you know, bagger surface here, just as an extra precaution. But it's really just popping switches into this point. This is one of the more calm, relaxing, because there are no metal pins to it as well. Yeah, that's when we were building Leannis's keyboard, which is a beautiful piece of work on its own, and one of, if not the nicest one I've typed on thus far. I'm hoping I can top it here. Because this is me quite literally trying to build the dream keyboard. At least for my preferences. But on typical MX-style switches, because the mechanical connection is made with the metal pins coming out of the bottom that go into the PCB, everyone bends pins. We've all done it. We'll all continue to do it. It's not like anyone's doing it on purpose, but always get some extras. I will say they're popping in very easily so far. So I really have no complaints about this part of the process thus far. I'm going to flip the padded envelope over, though, because I don't want that one part kind of curling over and mess with me more. There we go. Again, I'm trying to be a little gentle, because I only got so many attempts with this. I don't want to screw it up. Because this is definitely the most expensive keyboard I've ever built also. I may post later, or I might even try to, like, look up and tally how much the sum total of parts cost. And again, exactly. Always start gently. Like, I did acquire these parts over the span of about a year, really. But the most expensive bits, and we'll be getting to that when I actually pull the individual chassis parts out, are definitely yet to come. The PCB is not bad. Actually, if you're building a 60% Hall effect, the Geonworks Venom 60HE is actually a very affordable board. What are you? Make sure it's properly seated, but it might be catching a bit of foam there. Alright, I have to grab a different tool for a sec. Alright, this is why you have spares, because shit happens. So I mentioned having good keyboard tools. I tend to keep mine kind of, I don't use them super often. This is a Gateron switch puller. So you have a key at the top here. You basically press down when you see these little claws here, and you press a little bit on the inside. It locks the claws in, then when you hit this button, it releases. I believe this one right here is our offender right now. And that one thankfully came out no issue, but where I got caught was there's a bit of foam sticking out from the dampening, kind of see right here. So I just have to tuck that up a little bit. Gonna shore that up a touch. Might even grab another part here just to kind of help tuck it there. The back end of some very sharp tweezers. That was almost bad. I knocked my other tools over. I'm just gonna use the other side. This side is flat. I don't feel like puncturing anything. Want to tuck in the dampening foam a little bit so this is seating a bit more cleanly. There we go. That's what we like to see. Nice and clean. Like I said, it's little bits when you're working with different types of material. I am gonna just, I'm being paranoid. I'm gonna set this one off for the side of the other test switch. We do have a handful of spares to work off of. There we go. You should hear a little bit of a, it's hard for the mic to pick it up right now, but it's a, you want to make sure they feel firmly seated in there. I'm going to start checking the other ones to make sure there's no additional dampening material that's kind of interfering with getting them seated. But you hear almost like a nice little click or snap in place. I think the rest of the slots here look pretty clear. But and this is, like I said, you, for the most part, you know, knock on wood here, I am looking into 3D printing mice. That's because there are some printed shells for like the mouse I have here, the OP18K V2, which is a spectacular piece of tech if you're in the market for a mouse. Very easy shape to work off of. But my favorite mouse shape, and our buddy Constant, who I'm hoping Constant starts streaming in as well. Dude is an FPS god. But we have borderline identical taste in keyboards and mice, so I first met him through our buddy Evo. He was like, yeah, like I was just trying out like I think I was running what the Lamzu Atlantis Mini 4K at the time. He's like, same as like, yeah, I was running the MZ1 wireless before and the MZ1 wire before it, which is my favorite shape still, but both of us, that's our absolute favorite shape ever. But just the internals are kind of so shape-wise perfect. Internals need some work because they die off way too quickly. And we're just like, oh, same. Then like, yeah, I was looking at like the Pulsar X2H Minis, like me too. And Evo was just sitting here, is like, did you guys just become best friends? We're like, maybe. Stellar individual. Great person. Again, spectacular FPS player. Dude just makes it look easy. And on a personal note, excellent taste in keyboards and mice. He was a fellow booting enjoyer as well. But yeah, and you can kind of see, like, as we're coming along, we're kind of moving towards the middle now. We've kind of got the whole perimeter covered. This is the peaceful part. This is just popping in switches. We're moving along. Our assembly's looking great. Let me put this to the side for now. Just making sure again that all the LEDs are south facing, going down, because that makes keycap compatibility much easier. Also being very precise with each one because the sons of bitches are expensive. I have no desire to have to redo this. Kind of, so Sherry less for, it's gonna be the same, like, I think ANSI, which is, Like ANSI, I'd actually look up real quick. You know what? We can look that up real quick. We're at a computer. This keyboard's still plugged in and working. Alright. So, ANSI or ANSI layout refers to the keyboard physical layout standardized by the American National Standards Institute, or ANSI. The most common layout. So this right here is an ANSI layout, and I'll show this, Oh, you mean the shapes. That's the keycap shape, not the layout. So the keycap profile, these are going to be cherry profile keycaps. Which is about as common as it gets with like gaming boards and the like. I think OEM is another one that sits a little taller. You also have some really interesting ones, like some big rounded ones. You have like, I think DSA might be the name of it. They also got some different spin-offs, like a Drop, which I was a little disheartened to hear they're closing up shop. Drop.com, or Mass Drop as some of us might have known them, which is where I got my headphones years ago. Really glad now, because apparently these are completely sold out. It's my go-to, the trusty Sennheiser and Drop HD6XXs, which are essentially Mass Drop tuned, just recolored Sennheiser HD650s. And they have been, like, I would argue the most consistent peripheral I've had since 2020. Like, I have not, except like some IEMs for travel, like, I have not switched off these headphones in, actually, because I got these for myself as a birthday gift in 2020. So I've had these for right about 6 years, and I have had these in like some long-term travel when I was living in the hotel, because these always kind of stay tethered to my PC. I have a DAC and amp set inside the rack there that are balanced and actually tuned for these headphones when I'm ordering specific custom balance cables for them. Yeah, like, I love these things. The only thing, and we talk with friends about like gaming headphones, headsets. One, don't get gaming headsets. If you're looking for, there are some that are getting a lot better, but generally, if you're going for any type of headphone or headset, get ones geared towards like actual music or listening or production even. SteelSeries actually is one of the handful of gaming brands like that. They make some quality stuff. The Astros, 99.9% of the time, Shure makes some excellent stuff as well. We're rocking a Shure microphone right now. Not the SM7B, we're rocking the original MV7, which is like a USB version of. Alright. Giving it a quick inspection here, guys. That's what we're looking at so far. This is our piece. Technically, it's a functional keyboard. I couldn't tell you what keys I'm necessarily pressing outside of a handful like WASD, but like one of those you guys have seen those reels where it's like, you know, opening on or touching a knob or opening a door is like Maserati. Then you've got Sung Kang, he's one of my favorite characters out of the Fast and Furious series, Han. Apparently loves his Toyota Sienna, the minivan. So he did a spoof that was like, slides hand across like, Sienna. But it's a practical vehicle, and the man enjoys it, and that's the important part. Alright. Now we've got this out of the way, we've still got a handful of spares, and again, always good to have some, for any project, it's good to have some spare hardware on hand. Right, I'm going to go ahead and put the excess hardware from the KBD fan standoff kit away. I was going to say we haven't taken a break in a while. Technically, I took a break at the start of the stream. Which, if I do edit this VOD at any point in the future later, that'll be a, probably have to trim that one down. Alright, actually, I'm still going to need the parts tray out here. I'm going to go ahead and toss these to the side, put the rest of these tools away. And the biggest thing I'm going to need is the precision screwdriver going forward, because, though I do believe they include some assembly tools with this kit. But I'm going to put most of our spare stuff off to the side. Yes, I will have to do a bit of additional room cleanup after this. Before we get started, I'm gonna drink the last of my evening serving of Dubby. If anyone's concerned about my caffeine intake this time of the night, I may or may not have caffeine problems. And believe me, I can still sleep soundly after this. Insert any jokes about potential autism. I feel very called out right now. And not just by myself. And Meryl, you have zero room to talk, buddy. You too. Alright. Now, we've done that. I'm going to set this aside for now. I mentioned earlier before we're going to be using the PCB here. One of the reasons I'm using this specific one for the build is... Right? This is a particular Hall Effect... The only Hall Effect PCB in the 60% form factor with, like, verified performance that I'm aware of that uses a daughter board. So I have this bag here. You can kind of see the daughter board, the mini PCB with the USB-C port and the JSC cable to connect it. Notice there is a bit of a hole. Well, you can't see it so much on... Actually, you can see it from the back. So this hole right here in the plate is where this daughter board was before. They actually provide where you can clip this out. They also have, right here, you see a little missing spot there. You now see the backs of two switches, where they had a fixed USB-C port, which is like what this one has, only this one does not come off. At least it's not supposed to. And the idea here is the keyboard, the chassis we're about to put this into, which I've been wanting to build this thing for a while. The parts have been gradually accumulating in my closet for a minute now. Uses one, whereas this keyboard has the USB-C port back here where this cable is plugged in, which is about the most common layout we call a tray mount, or one where the PCB mounts to the bottom of the case itself. The Keycult 160 has one that's in the center of the back there, so clearly this would not be compatible. So I'm on no ADHD meds. I'm looking to get tested for that, because I feel... Conversation with friends and family, I think we have the impression that would explain a lot. It only took me, at this point, about 33 years to get to that point of actually getting that looked into. But no, normally, it helps keep me level, and also I feel like it calms me to a degree. So I don't get jittery from it by any means. I've had some friends who, like one cup of coffee, they are, like, shaking. I'm just like... Pinky up. It's like, this is my day. This is how I start my day. Yeah, this is one of those people. She does not do caffeine intake like I do. Though, with classes, her coffee intake is going up. Alright, so next up, and a lot of these parts I try to somewhat lay out to a degree ahead. I'm going to highlight where, because I'm trying to minimize the jank, hence using like Geonworks' own like a dampening kit and whatnot, so I'm not kind of jerry-rigging my own. I'm going to set the PCB to the side so we can actually just pray I don't knock the damn thing over. Probably toss the tray now. Because now we're going to be pulling out and actually unboxing to it. I've pulled these out of the box to test everything once, but the actual chassis, which you can see, the main chassis, other than the part, comes in 3 boxes. So this right here is the top. And you've got the Keycult logo, which for me, like, this is... I don't know if I could use that one there. The, essentially this is the, aluminum anode black top, so I went with, anodized aluminum top and bottom, and the middle, which is what made this thing so damn expensive, I went with a mirror polished stainless steel middle. That sits into the bottom, so I'm gonna pull the mic off to the side here so you guys aren't getting all the paper crinkling, but you're gonna see what we're dealing with. pull the mic back here. You might be able to lightly make out the Keycult logo right here. And this is actually, what I gather, Novelkeys had to send these back to their manufacturer for QC, because, like, I guess the first QC run, this little, emblem didn't pass QC, so they sent them back and had them remake them. Which delayed it, but I'm glad they did, because given how pricey the damn thing is, you want it to be perfect or as close to as humanly possible. But, anyhow, I did, like I said, try to repackage all these so you guys could see it to a degree. We can leave the mic here if you want the ASMR. Oh yeah, this isn't even the heavy part. This is lightweight compared to the rest. It's gonna be a heavy son of a bitch when we're done. You'll see why in a second here, but I give myself a little bit of room to work. You guys don't like the crinkling, blame Meryl. That's my policy during the week. I try to preserve the box to a degree, though. Alright, that was our aluminum top. Now, the bottom I'm going to go ahead and do next instead of the mid plate, just because I need to kind of have the bottom out to insert the mid plate into. And if you could hear the thud there, but like I said, the top is the light part. And trying to repackage it, give you guys as much the experience as I can. There we go. This is our bottom plate. This is like being a kid on Christmas for me. This is quite literally building the type of keyboard that, basically my own colorway and customized version of the board that got me interested in this hobby in the first place. I will happily recommend you guys go check out later. And the reason I pulled the bottom out first is because this piece, you notice how there are holes in this one. So the mid plate actually inserts through here, so the stainless steel mirror polished stainless steel actually shows in this bottom section, so the distinctive look of the Keycult boards. And you also notice the port here, that is where the USB-C port from the daughter board, I'll actually mounting it inside this little channel here, and the cable will run through it, pop through the mid plate, then we plug it into the back of the PCB on this little white JST port you see there. And the real part, and this was, I try not to go swinging it around when I talk about, like, alright, how much have I spent on something here, because this is very much a hobby. This was by no means practical. So, this is the mid plate. It's wrapped in plastic because it's a mirror polished or mirror finished version. This one part in my hands cost me $400. That is my confession for this one. I nearly did not go for this version because this is the most expensive version of the mid plate, but like, if we're gonna build this the one time and want to know if they're gonna make a run of this again, I want to do it right. Oh yeah, for those unaware, our friend Meryl here had some notorious runs in the Magic the Gathering circuit before. Physical card too, and we all know physical card games ain't cheap. But yeah, so we've got, I have to open that box again because I've still got the plastic wrapping here. So what we're going to do next here, before I move on, is we are going to grab our box of assembly. Even the box, for a little bit of hardware, has even a QR code for assembly instructions on it, but has like a snazzy black box to match with it. I did buy, just to be on the safe side, like a standard plate. So this piece I got, luckily it mostly sits down on the mouse pad, so most of it is not exposed. This is some pieces from, so I did a test of this before, so there are probably some bits of the screws I used previously on the plate assembly. Magnetic parts tray here. So some things I've already done, like I said, tested to make sure everything fits. I didn't want to have a big hiccup midstream here. I've also already put the rubber feet you see on the bits here. We're not on it. You have to apply them yourself. It's really not bad. It's very, very easy. They have little indented grooves for it and all. I am going to go ahead just because we're not taking chances here. Home stretch. Probably pull up the instructions on my monitor here so I can follow this. Pull the unnecessary bits out. Set that to the side. I love my comparatively small 2-foot by 4-foot desktop most days, but there are moments where just like like when you have a bunch of other stuff on it, then it gets to be a little cramped. Another thing I'm going to point out while I've got these pieces separate is I've already added the foam dampening pieces. So these strips here in these little grooves, this is where it's going to line up with. I'm going to take a crack at it here with the PCB. Notice how the plate kind of sits into those slots, so it's going to sandwich. You have the pads here and then pads on the lower half of it, some on the bottom of this one, some on the top of the mirror polished one. You're going to see the black bits already applied. Alright, there through the plastic. I'm just waiting till we're about to drop this in first. I have to install the daughter board before that. But that's how this whole thing is going to be suspended. And the goal of that is it significantly dampens. Oh, hell yes. One, this is fast for a board build, especially with me giving commentary. Blue, I don't know if you heard this before, but the first time I built a keyboard, same size, but all these switches are factory lubed, and those processes have gotten a lot more consistent. The first time I built one, I hand lubed every switch. I watched the entire first season of the anime Danmachi, or in English, Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? I think it was like somewhere between 20 and 24 episodes. I watched the whole first season just while handling the switches. Which, as our buddy John would put it, that shit is for the birds. Like, I think it's a worthwhile experience to have. Let me show our daughter board here real quick. And I'm going to be slotting it into this little spot here. Actually, I'm going to plug the JST cable into it before I get too far in because it can be a little tight. I think we are good. So that is the cable that's going to be attaching this board to make our port to the PCB. So you're like, I don't think I would have gotten this thing in if I tried to handle afterwards. So it's going to have to run through this groove and up to plug into the PCB here, and then we do the rest of the assembly. But I need to find the screws for it first. And might as well... Not the configurator, damn it. I'm going for the, build guide. There we go. Mute this so you guys aren't catching every bit of it here. That's not even a build guide Keycult, that is a that's a teardown. Variation layout options. Here we go. Alrighty. First off, daughter board. They don't really go with specific screws, but I think it's obvious enough which ones are going this way. find the right side Allen key they provided for it. Oh no, so they're not. So there are the clickiness thing kind of comes down to what type of switch you use. These are all factory loop linears. These will not be clicky. Just a very smooth, clacky sound. The most that's coming from the bottom out. Yep, just make sure those screws match up. And again, we mentioned before, you don't want to wrench these things down. This is still a PCB. You want to be finger tight at most. So there is no magnetism to this Allen key, and it is a little tight to work with. So I'm about to grab my tweezers here. Always good to have. I gotta be careful because I have jabbed myself with them. Those things are damn sharp. Just need you to catch. Come on, there we go. All right, and you always want to go, and same with similar principle to like Blue were talking about. So the spacebar is the only one that has the stabilizer. So going back to the thing, if that's what I think you're referring to, these are stabilizers. The wires under here for this is the spacebar key. This is your left shift. It has the two stabilizers, but with a shorter wire. It's your right shift and your enter key also have their own stabilizer. It's just the bigger keycaps. The rest of the ones, like, because the single keys are small enough, they're not going to have the same type of crazy wobbling issues. Alrighty, where... Next one, that corner I imagine to be a little tricky to get this one slotted into. Yeah, it's going to fight me here. I think we're going to have to use the tweezers and kind of line this up. I can avoid stabbing myself with them, that would be spectacular. There we go. I appreciate it, Mano. Thanks for hanging out. Sorry we got a little bit of a delayed start. We had some eventful stuff going on in the neighborhood, unfortunately. I haven't heard anything, literally. That's what got my attention, is even with the open headphones on. Granted, these don't really seal anything out, but I heard it through the window. And like, let me go make sure stuff is, you know, copacetic outside here. It was not for a good minute, but it sounds like things have quieted down. But yeah, I will definitely catch up with you tomorrow, man. We'll shoot you a pic of what happens. Also, the VOD will be up on, I believe, any of the platforms here. Nah, and it wasn't just me. There were other neighbors there. I did appreciate how, like, again, not to go into too much detail. They're like, a handful of folks showed up to check in and make sure that things were fine. Wasn't with our house specifically, but it was, it's also the first time we've spoken with some of our neighbors. Like, well, wish we're in a better circumstance, but nice to meet some of you. We're the people with a cat. Just gonna make sure everything's tight down here. Alright, should be good there. I'm gonna go ahead and cap these again. I don't know how many times I've stabbed myself with these. I appreciate it, man. And also, big thanks while I've still got him here to our buddy Critical Merrill for kind of keeping chat involved. He shot me a text when I was gone on the break screen for a good minute. More than a minute. I mean, I was probably gone for like half an hour at least, maybe more. And when I came back, like, he'd actually kind of informed folks, hey, like, he's alive, just working on stuff in the neighborhood. There's like, So that is greatly appreciated, man. I cannot thank you enough. But go get some rest. I'll circle back to tomorrow. I did also get that one meeting moved. So I don't know if you were on that update stuff there. I know about hero stuff, but yeah, so I am probably remote. Also, since I'm trying to hide it for the most part now, I have felt like death all afternoon. I know, but not specifics, but let you know, like, hey, I will probably be remote tomorrow, especially the way, yeah, that's the part I want to tell you there. Not specific work stuff, just, yes. Keyboard or death first. That's the other thing, like, I am powering through this. No, I appreciate the tip. He was, our friend here was very much encouraging me to take tomorrow remotely. One, because everyone's been fighting colds and crap. Yeah, like, Leannis and I both have been, riding the struggle bus, this weekend, over the weekend. But yeah, it's, what I don't want to expose people more to, just like, yeah. Yeah. There is that. Alright, before I get too ahead of myself here too, so as you can see here, we have put the daughter board inside the bottom plate. So this is our USB-C port. It's secured. Yeah. That's fair. Leannis rarely ever gets sick. My immune system is basically wet tissue paper, so I, for better or worse, I'm a little more used to it. But when she gets sick, it's not a great time for her. So it's, alright, so next up, you notice we've got a slot here. This little hole here in the plate. And might I add, this is the heaviest damn part of this whole build. Or no, this is a hunk of... Yep. I'm aware. We did have pho, which was a welcome sort of remedy too. But basically we've slotted the wire through here, and I just have to keep it inside its channel and keep it run to where this goes neatly. And watch as I try not to mess it up. Play nice. I think we got it. There we go. Alright. So this part not fully assembled. Oh yeah. It's also, I'll be making after this one as well, Dubby, my, like our go-to energy drink here, also makes some non-caffeinated hydration mixes. Those have been helped me a good bit this week as well. Just stainless steel and mirror polished. So on the underside, before, guys, you can try to get to where you can see it. Okay, the camera angle doesn't work with it, but I think when Tfue had actually unboxed this, the one that Teo had made for him, the same model of keyboard. Oh yeah. If I get the angle right, you can practically read chat in this thing. Which is what Tfue actually was like, yeah, like you can actually read chat off the mirror finish. But it is a heavy hunk of metal here. Right. Oh yeah. That's not even the dirtiest joke we've thrown out there. Meryl's the first one to hands on my rack. The server rack. Oh yes. Yeah, and I don't have premier status there. I can't be getting away with that. Alright, so we have these little alignment pins, these tiny plastic bits, gonna be a little tough to see. They're meant to go inside corners here just to kind of help line the pieces up. Alright, we've had so much double entendre this stream alone here. Because we do want to be as precise as we can with this, so... And we also intentionally should have put the screws in first, going off the directions here. We also want to put our flathead screws into the body of the basically, actually putting these two parts together, actually securing them. If I can get it off my magnetic tray here, that would be spectacular. It almost might seem too small. There we go. This hour. That's too big. Maybe our winner. All right. I know it's been a long journey, guys, and you guys have been... no. So what's going to keep the motherboard in place is the motherboard's attached again to this whole plate assembly. So the metal part here, the plate, the motherboard's already screwed into. So these tabs that hang off of it, these bits here, are going to sandwich between the bottom and the top of the assembly where you have these foam pads that it shows here. And those cushions are going to keep like a nice, almost like a floating experience. So it makes a much softer typing experience is the idea. Compared to like having a lot of traditional, you know, mechanicals or what we call tray mount. In many ways. It's kind of a take on a gasket mount. There are different mounting methods used for boards. Like one was like the gummy O-ring gasket mount, which some people pulled off with boards like this one. I've tried a variation of it before, where you have like a rubber O-ring that wraps around this assembly, and it friction fits into the case. This one I like though because it's secure. You don't have to worry about like the friction is supposed to be very secure, but it's it feels much more intentional and controlled. Though this is the first 60% I've built like this. Leannis's board, the Odin V3, has the same type of mounting mechanism here, or a similar enough style where you have the tabs hanging off the PCB and it's sandwiched in. But yeah, this is well, I've done like I said, a very brief test to make sure everything worked and fit. This is the first time I've gone full-on assembly. So I'm really excited, because this will be, like, let's be clear, this is going to be the daily driver. Not even prevent movement, it's really just to soften, like, the feedback and the typing experience itself. Because it's entirely going for feel. It's like, performance-wise, like, this will be secure. You can tray mount it, or like, you know, where most PCB, like this one, for example, does screw in, though I've taken other measures to soften it. Oh, hello. You miss a lot of the fun, man. We've already done stabilizers, we've assembled the PCB. I'm putting the last screw into the stainless steel middle right now to secure it to the bottom. We've already got the daughter board and the JST cable run through. So we're home stretch, man. What are we gonna get into? I'm double checking directions too, because again, he's expensive. I don't want to fuck this up. Alright, next up, we gotta slot the JST cable, this tiny cable I showed you guys earlier. Now this is all secure. This is one firm, hefty son of a bitch, and Evo, for your enjoyment there, has lost some securing pins, but that's the mirror polish back. Now I have to go find my alignment pins again, because these are not screwed in. These are just to help align bits. I've got a spare, but may have to back my chair. Bear with me, folks. We lost a part. I technically have one spare, but I trimmed those down to exact. So there are 4 of these little plastic, actually, we didn't lose it. It stayed in the case. Sweet. These little plastic alignment tabs are a little tough to see. Yep. See, I tried to show off for you, buddy. And I blew it. Just like that. Yeah, these are really just to help align it. It's not what's going to be securing it. This is, It's kind of like, you know when you're assembling like IKEA furniture, you have the wooden pegs that can help line up the pieces, but they're not what's keeping it in place? It's the equivalent here. Put my phone back on its charger there. But yeah, Monster I need to get caught up on. I enjoyed the marathon beta to the point where I'm playing it tomorrow. Like, I have every intention to pre-order that thing tonight. And play at launch. Alright, this is working a little finicky. I gotta get this daughter board cable plugged in real quick. It's tight. And I think we're good. And the alignment pins, again, that one popped out. It's supposed to help us just line up these pieces before we really start screwing things in. Alrighty, and in theory, yep, I did enjoy it. It took me a few runs to get a feel for it. Let's make sure I'm not missing anything else. So it is really a little tricky as well, making sure all of these line up. No, will fix. We did a test for this before. Just get it to pop right into place. Yeah. Said so a bit more like I had a few good runs with folks. All right, I can see myself working through this. Like not working through, but like actually enjoying it. A few frustrating ones. Wait, did you not already have Fiendsmith put together? Alright. Now here's where it's gonna get more tearing. I need to screw in the bottom. And actually sandwich these pieces together. I would like to first make sure this is actually picking up. So what I'm going to do is let's make sure. So I'm actually going to unplug the wooden build I've been running for a while. We're going to plug in the key. It's not fully assembled, so I can't shuffle this thing around too much, but okay, it appears to be working. Just wanted to check first before we do the final, screw in. I did, again, check the PCB, make sure all the keys were functioning before I went this far in. I did a test run of everything well in advance of this. All lining up. Okie dokie. So, once it's I'm going to get all of these started at least so it's somewhat together. And then we're going to tighten them in the prescribed order they have in the original Keycult 160 build guide. Alright. We're going to go down. I'm going to try to tilt it to the side here so you guys can see it as well. So we're going to start up top. We're going to move down here. And just getting them threaded so they catch. I'll go back and tighten them in the same order. It is, and I was saying earlier, this is hands down the most expensive part of the whole build was the mirror polish one. But I'm like, if I'm gonna do this build, I want to do it right. And I only want to do this the one time. They include like having to get Canadian company called Hype Keyboards to basically custom make a plate for it, because this is running the Venom 60 HE PCB, so we're still Hall effect here. Of all the booting capabilities, but even sexier form factor than my old Freebird 60 chassis I built into. And no jank, because the Venom 60 actually has a built-in daughter board detachment that you can use. Alright, next up we go this corner. Let me just slot these in, at least I can start working my way around. But the other thing is, this tends to live, you know, this side will be mostly down. Like, just on the mouse pad itself, which, yes, I cleaned before I, last night, quite literally in preparation, A, for the stream, but more so just for snazzy new board. And also, when I reference, Evo as a sort of shorthand for our friend's name here, I reference my good buddy who I somewhat blame for getting me into the keyboard building hobby. It's our evolution, JB. So thank you, John. Thanks, buddy, for introducing me to the rabbit hole. Oh, Nick will love hearing that. Yeah, our friend Ortheus, for anyone else who's involved in, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, I feel like Heroes never seems to get the rap as, like, the meta deck, but he does disgusting things with it. Like, I can throw the kitchen sink for disruptions. I remember, like, the first deck I learned in the game was a deck called Mathmech. First one I got really good with, I'd say. Like, I started with a zombie deck. Mathmech's the first one, I think, that had a bit of a, like, actual, you know, performing capability to it. And I got, like, the best end board I knew how to make at the time, still fairly new to the game, and our friend just rolled through every disruption I could throw at him and continue going. Oh, he was telling me about it. It's nasty. The deck has so much gas. Like, he can just keep moving through whatever you throw at him and continue to build and just break you down afterwards. It's insane. What keyboard are you looking at now? Alright, start, bottom. I think he did mention something about Super Poly Tart. So Super Poly, yeah, it's short for a card called Super Polymerization, which, I can't believe I'm saying this, I used to hate the card. I still hate when I get Super Poly, though a lot of the decks I've learned can play through it now. It's a card that lets you fusion summon a monster, using materials from both sides, but you can use your opponent's stuff. You can use just your opponent's stuff with, you know, Super Polymerization even, just to get rid of a threat they have that you can't seem to nuke otherwise. Just I hate playing against that card. Now I actually have at least one copy in the Draco Tail branded variant I learned to play, though I haven't touched Master Duel in at least a few weeks to a month now. Like, after the DICE event, I got kind of burned out on it. What do you call it? But it's a nasty board breaker of a card. And given that, ooh, Keycrons are some solid boards. For anyone unfamiliar with it, it's another brand where it's an easy recommendation to make, as they make a very solid, like, aluminum. They make some plastic builds too, if that's your preference, but some very good aluminum body keyboards with similar gasket mounting styles. For the game stuff, I'm still very much in favor of the HE switches, which, do one last check across the board. I think that might be our final assembly. We move on to keycaps. Right, down. I think we're good. Down here. Back up to here. I'm trying to keep the Keycults recommended. I don't think I will for this one, actually. So I did, like I said, I've got one Artisan, with a bit of an origami design on my existing booting 60HE build over here. This was a Gen 1 booting. Like, before they made the modules, you had to have the full plastic case assembly. I just ripped the PCB out, replaced it with better switches, keycaps, my own dampening methods, all that. What I'm going to be using is keycaps sit across the board called ePBT Traveling, so made out of the PBT material that I mentioned before is my preference. Matte, slightly textured, doesn't show hand oils, and with a hiragana subtext, basically a variant of a Japanese subtext on all the main characters as well. And it's gray. Night, thank you so much for tuning in, and for hanging out for a while. You guys go enjoy. Alright, reset this aside, and this is the state of our assembly so far. So, mostly assembled. This thing's heavy as a brick, maybe more so. Thus far assembled booting 60 HE. Not booting 60, I think I've heard of the Limo Key one as well. Sorry, not booting. So it's a Geonworks Venom 60 HE PCB using the daughter board configured inside of a Keycult 160 chassis manufactured by Novelkeys as of last year. So we went black aluminum top and bottom, mirror polished stainless steel middle, hence this part here. You can see also the line around the edge here as well, which is another fun detail for it. Used Geonworks' own dampening materials for the Venom 60 HE PCB itself in the middle, also the plastic sheet, and I didn't add this sheet. There's one more thing I could do for it actually, but I don't know that I want to, because I figured this is fine without the dampening. I could theoretically do it, but I don't think we're going to need it. I did want to put the plate dampening at least. I think we're fine without the case dampening for now. We're going to test it. It would go on top of the stainless steel, so I have to basically undo these screws on the back and put it back in. But I don't think we're necessarily going to need the dampening, because it's a Keycult. So we're going to test. We're going to put some keycaps on. If we feel the need to swap it out, in theory, I can pop the entire assembly back off. I could have put keycaps on it already. I just kind of want to save those for last. But yeah, let's put some keycaps on this thing, guys. So, you heard earlier. Now, I showed you guys, and I'm going to kind of clear off some of my working surface here a bit, because, again, my desk is 2 foot by 4 foot. I love it for daily use, because I keep, like, my PC, all my components and whatnot live in the rack a bit behind me. They are gray. That's my thing. That is my color, or lack thereof. So, I want to kind of preserve the Keycult packaging to a degree, so I'm putting the plastic covering from the middle here back with the rest of it. And John, they had one of these boxes for the top, the middle, the bottom, and the plate they spin as well. It has been the most bougie opening and building experience I've had for a keyboard, bar none. Oh, I might look into that. Sounds like a very pleasant gray color. Alright, I think these are all spares. We should be fine setting these aside as well. And other specs we've also done, like I said, the Gateron long pole stabilizers. Done to live, how's it going? Little chaotic at first. We had some goings on in the neighborhood that required me to step out of the room for a minute, but once we got rolling, we are wrapping up a keyboard build. So the what do you call? This is as far as we're at. It's pretty much everything except the keycaps. It's the last thing we gotta toss on. So I'd say home stretch, though. Knock on wood. Nope, typically right now, because I still work a full-time 9 to 5 and have, like, outside obligations, you know, family, friends, partner, cat, I stream Wednesday nights and Sunday nights at both 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Usually it's a continuous series on Wednesdays, though this is a break off. I just finished Cyberpunk 2077 last week, at least that playthrough of, and we'll do variety stuff on Sundays. So this Sunday will be a marathon, as it launches tomorrow, and I'm eager to jump in there. But yeah, next up, so we're going with the Hiragana Alphas, which you may be able to see here. They have the, ooh, let me pull this cover off. About 8-ish months since June of last year. Like, I've had the account forever, but finally, and like our friend R Evolution JB and our another one of our friends as well both kind of point out I love building stuff for the back end. But like, are you ever actually gonna start? And kind of called me out on my shit a while back. I was like, okay, so kind of set a deadline at the end of June of last year, and I've been doing it consistently since. Barring any major things. But for those who've been watching along, these are the caps we're going to be putting on, at least the main alphas. Dunt, how about you? Do you stream as well? Primarily watch? If so, like... also, have you been playing or what, building anything lately? Start with Q. It's fun, dude. The schedule kind of forces me to stay consistent, and there are days I want to take off, and some friends here have definitely been like, nope, don't drop it, stay on top of it. So not always easy, but like I said, my good buddies have had my back on it. Yeah, is it like the next like major scheduled one, or next like major milestone? So the next one, like, I know end of June is kind of like this major anniversary, and then sometime in the fall, I think, would be the affiliate anniversary. Yeah, testing the sound as well, because I did not put the dampening sheet on the inside of this one, guys. So I'm going to see how I feel about it with and without, because taking the assembly off and adding the dampening will actually be right now what I'm trying to work on is it's not gonna sound like a very sexy goal here. It's I'm trying to get more consistent with my work on the back end of it, so short form content like reels, a little bit of coverage. Like, this is normally I wind up doing some variety of games, so me building something tech wise is a bit of a new addition to the actual live environment. So I'd like to get to where I think the next goal, like follower wise, get to say 50 followers, and try to get to where my viewers are consistently the double digits, which is going to take some work, and that's why the back end stuff, I figure a lot of the growth will come from what I've gathered and studied so far, is saying there, making short form content that'll actually be able to reach people even when I'm not present. As I thought about adding more nights to it, but that's, I think you need to dedicate more time to editing, better preserving VODs than I currently do. And yep, that's actually how I intend to work at it right now, is trying to be more consistent with how active I am on the other socials to kind of help spur the growth. But that's my plan. Just trying to get to where I have the time for it, because you guys know how it is. Just general life obligations, busyness, work, it piles up fast. Come on. There we go. That's one, so Nick actually pointed that one out to me too. He's like, you gonna post clips again? I was like, I need to get back on that. So I've been trying to, even if I'm offline from streaming, like just keeping like the hotkey on my stream deck off to the side here. Yep. So I'm consistent with the streams themselves, but I want to get consistent with the other end of engagement also. I'd say where I'm a little, definitely try to be more consistent with my community engagement as well, as like in our Discord server, or we've had some conversation with some of the folks here, like our buddy Bluest Blue, who's also a spectacular content creator you should go check out. We'll discuss things if people have questions about tech, replacing parts, or making modifications or tunings or PCs. Not yet. Do you have any experience with that one? Any tips you'd want to offer? Because I am all ears. Always eager to learn something new. Oh, God. That's some of the other stuff I want to kind of capture in clips there, is we have some genuinely hilarious moments as a group just playing around, and Blue, waiting for you to join these as well. Like, are we, I would say, fairly solid players in games like Monster Hunter and so on? Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. Definitely, I believe it's linked in my pages down here. If not, then I can swing over. This keyboard is still plugged in, even if this one is not currently. Yeah, this is me building a dream keyboard. Like, this is my take on the board that literally got me interested in the hobby. And somewhat spiting our friend, our Evolution JB, as he got me interested in keyboard building, and it can be an expensive spiraling rabbit hole. Yeah, we gotta get the cooling issue sorted there first. I agree with that. Yeah, and no rush then. You've got yeah, like, to give you guys some context for our callouts or crashouts, like the Savage Omega fight, which is basically a take on a raid boss. Before I leap too far into a different rabbit hole, which is something I will definitely do a lot of, yeah, I will definitely, I will send you a link to the Discord if it's not already in the profile there. Once you're there, the only thing to keep in mind is you just have to read the rules and react to the emoji, and that auto-assigns you a role that should allow you to see everything, and if that does not do it, or if something breaks for whatever reason, because I always should keep that in mind, shoot me a DM, and I will happily assign the role myself if need be. But that is where we also do a lot of active chatter as well. Yeah, hold up real quick. Multitasking here. Yeah, Blue, I think it's, I've been working on some things and fixing streamer.bot as well, which the Discord command is probably not working right now. No, I appreciate it. That is on, it absolutely works. Let me, because I should have Discord running here still. And you guys cannot see my desktop at the moment, because you just see the two cameras. Here, guys. Link is in chat for Discord. If you're to join, we have fun discussions on tech, shenanigans. If you guys need help with any particular game as well, like if we're knowledgeable on it. And it's another fun part of the community there is it's not just me necessarily, like being able to provide input on things. It's like, let's take the setups and tech tab within the server there. Where, like, I love me some shop talk and hardware. That being said, like, I don't know everything. There's plenty I don't know, and that's part of the fun, is you get to learn more as you go. But it also allows me to leverage the expertise of my spectacular friends and community. Wait, we can help find you the best solution to whatever you're working off of there. It's not a service, no one's obligated to, it's just, there he is. It's mine too, that is, you can ask, Evo here, that particular tab is my baby. Damn. I'm taking some guff tonight. Alright, and it's the rest of our alphas here. I think this one we are... It's funny, yes, I'm keeping my other keyboard right here, because I won't pretend that I don't forget where some of these switches or keycaps actually go over time. I absolutely forget where things need to go, frequently. So I'm just double checking myself for anything I might have missed. Do I not have this on here? We're gonna set that aside for now. Yep. No, he jumped. Wait. I thought you couldn't get Twitch going at work. I thought that was a no-go. Yep, and blue, that is our same dude who's been in, that's right, we had something with the Caster Labs chat was not properly displaying multi-stream, that's why it's pulled right now, so I'm working on another content creator who I do not know personally, the Nutty, or nutty.gg. Seems to have a better, like, multi-platform chat widget that I intend to install. I got you. I just now saw it. That's actually what's on my phone over here. It's on my desktop as well, but my phone off to the side is just one more screen to multitask off of as we move. I'm trying not to rush myself, but I also realize I've been here almost 4 hours working on this keyboard. So... Oh yeah, no, blue, we actually hit, and I feel less bad mentioning this now because Twitch has said they're no longer to be dinging people for this. That's why, like, when I had multi-stream chat it previously, it just color-coded. It didn't actually, I appreciate thought, man. The, call. Yeah, we were technically, like, I cannot promote the other ones over Twitch, because that'll get us in trouble, but, yes, there is a simultaneous chat going on YouTube and Kick as well. We've seen before that, because it is a Twitch term of service that you cannot promote other platforms. They've at least said they are no longer taking actions against multi-stream chat. So I can, with the improved version, I'm working on adding ahead of Sunday stream. It'll actually show next to everyone's names, like YouTube, Kick. Yeah, so it's not the multi-streaming, it's anything that seems to promote a different platform other than Twitch is where they will get you. So you gotta be careful about that one. Where the Am I missing a key here? I skipped over a key. I'm like, why do I feel like something's off here? I'm like, yep, I completely skipped the K. I don't think so. So it sounds like, and for anyone who did not hear this before, I kind of briefly put it in Discord. Actually, blue was the first one to notice my channel disappeared. I got a very, I mean, like 24-hour. It was nearly. Yeah, don't. If it's a sales service, I will say that's not what we're doing here. If you want to network chat, that's excellent. And blue, I appreciate that also. But yeah, there was a potential issue where they thought the account might have been compromised. So so Twitch basically logged me to everything, said, hey, no, actually gave me what was in theory a permanent suspension. I appealed, like, hey, yep, as far as we can tell, you did no wrong. It's just someone might have gotten into your stuff here. So kind of be warned, like, got it. Alright, tracking. Now, yeah, it's, I thought it might have been, because I do use, like, a lot of folks use, like, moderation bots and whatnot, because there is not a mod team per se, it is me running the show here. But I try to, you know, catch as many of the strays and make sure you guys aren't getting flagged with, you know, questionable stuff, as much as possible. And try to kind of get ahead of it before anything, you know, problematic pops up here, because you want it to be like fun, engaging, kooky, whatnot, but also, yeah, it's so I try to go with ones where, like, all right, established creators and communities I've seen are okay with it, or seem to, you know, vet and or verify those. Now we get the rest of these because it was just the Hiragana alphas that were in that box. So now we break into the rest of the keycap kit. But I'm wondering if one of those might have actually been the issue there. So it's another reason I've been re-examining what things are actually taking access here. It's so something like streamer.bot, as I understand, is mostly like run locally on the system, and God knows the PC has the extra horsepower for it. That's gonna be really good. So things I can just run more to my own system instead of relying on things that may be outside of this control. Also, why we're talking about the Discord conversation right now. Looking into like, given the privacy concerns popping up with that, you know, self-hosted potential alternatives. Alrighty. Yeah, they said till the latter half of the year, so I'm still looking into options for it. Right now, Fluxer I'd say is the front runner, but I'm gonna leave the Discord server off, obviously, until we have a solid, viable alternative to it. It's established, but I've set up some things, like I've carved up some space inside the server rack to where it's, we made a mistake. I need one more stabilizer for this. For backspace, I didn't see it before, but yeah, it's there. We're gonna need to pull some of this out, or at least detach the PCB. That's gonna be work. Thankfully, the switches should be fine, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and correct part of this. So we're gonna test it, but I'm gonna have to go back and do some of that off stream afterwards, just for the, thought we were missing something there. I knew something was gonna pop up. But I can do that offline. Let's get you guys the finished product, then this should be a correction I think I can do without really altering too much. Control, final. Oh, nope. Oh, it's flipping to the key there. Where was my keycap holder? There we go. Had a couple of hiccups by and large. I think the build's mostly gone well. This one's definitely an oversight on my part, but it's a fixable one. And it'll let me test later if I want to try the dampening later on. But we're going to set everything else to the side for now. Use what room we got. Alright, so more or less I'll have to do one revision later. Work with me, guys. I'm not used to doing the camera angle work this way. Or better yet, in front of the main camera. Boom. So fully finished, mostly. Gotta go back and fix one stabilizer issue. I see the camera in the background there. That is a Keycult 160 and in Hall effect, so I'm gonna unplug this one, set it aside. Some of my tools off to the side here. Plug it into the back. And we are going to try. So my go-to type test, which I'm not showing screen because I really just had the scene set up for the two webcams. It's actually reordering some of the cameras with both of them running has been screwing with OBS a little bit in terms of how it's been playing off the Elgato camera hub. But I'm going to try to... I'm going to move the microphone down towards the keyboard. We do a little bit of a typing test. Nice thing is you can't see what I'm doing on the actual typing test. How many times I fucked this up. Just to give you an idea of what this sounds like right now. So bear with me as we try to reorient the boom arm a bit. We have to turn the mic up a little bit for this test. Most excellent. Alright, I'm just leaning away from the mic so you guys can hear this properly, but here goes. Yeah, probably a little on the... Sorry, I gotta turn my mic back down for you guys there. Probably on the quiet side there. Like, sounds plenty clacky from where I'm sitting, but I'm in the room with it, and my mic and filters are mostly configured for voice. I thought about getting a second, like a shotgun mic set up for this, but that's a lot of extra expense for something I don't do super often on stream. You're just like, typically, I am not the world's fastest typist by any means, but I was about 96% accurate. Actually, I'm gonna switch scenes here for you. Just so you can see my primary desktop. This is about how I did. And for me, like, I'm not super speed typist by any means. For me, 92 words per minute is actually pretty solid. And at 96% accuracy, I'm not complaining at all. But yeah, I'm actually really thrilled with this, and I cannot wait to game with this damn thing. Now, given it is midnight on the dot in my time zone right now, I'm tired as all hell. Also, as of right now, I am 33. As my annual reminder that death is ever impending. How's that for a spin on it? Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. No, I am really excited for just, one, we're a little over halfway through the week now. We're almost there, too. This is literally, like, my dream keyboard assembled. Yes, I've got to go back and retool one thing there, that I will fix that off camera, and that is thankfully something that should be very doable. But it's, no, like, literally when I got into the keyboard building, like, for the first time, like, early 2021 or so, it could be, mostly because like I said, I actually purchased the chassis for the keyboard, like the main body, the black aluminum, the mirror polish bit. I paid for it in April of last year. I had to wait for it to be like manufactured, shipped out, so I've been getting the parts together. I mostly just, I figure after I wrapped up the Cyberpunk playthrough and ahead of the marathon launch this weekend, like, yeah, I want to have this keyboard build done, and now transitioning before another long series, it was the perfect time to kind of insert this one and try something different for stream. But it's, no, I know it was a lengthy process. I really appreciate you guys bearing through it. It's, like, I do a lot of tinkering like this at home, but I do not necessarily document it well, which is something, I am working on doing more for, more static content on other platforms as well, and maybe a little more on here as we get into modding more things. Some things like with 3D printings, like the shelves behind me, all the brackets that are holding those shelves up on the IKEA rails are actually from, were actually 3D printed from the printer inside my closet there. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want anyone's brain dying. That's a bit much. I'm not here to overload you with it, and I'm by no means the grand expert on everything. This is why, like, I like that we can crowdsource solutions and setups in tech and Discord, I know a little about a lot. And I enjoy sharing those bits and encouraging people to kind of explore the avenues that, they want. So, like, keyboard building is one. This is something I will use every day. Also, it is hefty. And I like it. Like, you're not gonna have to worry about shuffling this thing around, or it moving on you. It is, it's staying in place. It feels spectacular typing already. I am so excited to have this as a daily driver going forward, because this is literally the type of board that got me into the hobby. And for a similar build from a few years back, I would recommend you guys go on YouTube, look up Taeha Types, Taeha space types. And if you look to Taeha Types Tifu and look at the build stream in particular, you watch him much more skilled than I go through this and with a lot more class and grace. But he builds effectively one of these, though much brighter colors, for Tifu, one of the largest content creators on the planet. And that build and sound tests of it are what really got me to want to try pursuing this as a, like, not like a hard, consistent hobby, because they're expensive to build. This one probably cost me around $1,000 in me gradually acquiring parts and components. Not even touching time and effort involved, or the tools I've had from other builds I've put in views for it. But No, Teja's streams are chill. I don't know if he streams much now as he's shifted less, he shifted more from content over to like a product design with Ryan Norbauer, who makes some really, really cool, also very expensive keyboards. But really, really high-end stuff. So, which, happy for him on that one, because he's doing something he enjoys is the important part. But, he has, like jazz in the background, he's sipping coffee. It better. And I joke with Leannis regarding her keyboard, which is similar in structure to this one. Not quite as expensive, but very, very sturdy. It's like, when you're still living separately, it's like, hey, if anyone ever breaks into your apartment, because her, like, office in that apartment was, like, nearest to the front door, I was like, we should grab the keyboard and take a swing with that thing. I was like, concussion guaranteed. Not that I'm encouraging this behavior. But I have made the joke in, like, my actual office for is like, nah, anyone... yeah, hers is an actual, almost full size. I want to say hers is like an 80 or 90 some odd percent. It's, so she still has the number pad and so on. I like the 60% because I can kind of show this on the desk now to kind of pull some stuff off. So when I'm playing, because I play on low sense, like I shuffle my keyboard off to the side, I mouse here, and I move my mouse around this big ass mouse pad. But yeah, on that note, guys, thank you so much for joining. This has been a lot of... It's also nice to have company doing this, so I'm not just like watching a show in the background while building or tinkering. It's been way more fun, like chatting with you guys the whole time and getting to share different aspects of this hobby as I go through. You definitely see me screw up at least one part I'm gonna have to go back and fix now. I thought I'd had nailed, like, why? I thought there was another, like, and there was. I didn't look hard enough. In my defense, I've been a little under the weather, but we are going to go back and correct that probably before I pass out for the night. But I will do that off camera to spare you guys all that backtracking. No, Blue, thank you for joining. Leannis, thank you so much. All of you, really, thank you for sitting through it with me. I think that has made it, and thank you. But I think you guys keep me company on this one has been what's made this really my favorite build so far. Like, yes, sexy keyboard on its own, but getting to share the experience with you guys and laugh and joke the whole way has really made it that much more special. So thank you guys so much. You have a lovely rest of your evening or morning, depending on part of the world you're in. And I will catch you guys Sunday night as we're going to break this thing in with some marathon this weekend. Appreciate it, and I haven't thought about cake, but that sounds wonderful. Definitely gonna be looking at that this weekend. Alright, you guys take care. You have a lovely evening. I'll catch you guys later.